Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Sleepy Scientist Zone. Tonight, let us drift slowly into a story older than every mountain, every ocean, every breath of wind that has ever touched the earth. Take a slow, gentle breath and let your shoulders soften. Let the world quiet around you as we begin our tranquil journey into the deep, ancient past where the first threads of life shimmered in the dark water like tiny lanterns waiting to be discovered. Have you ever wondered how your body came to be? Not just in the way your parents brought you into this world, but in a deeper, more cosmic sense. How the shape of your hands, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the spark of your mind were all crafted by billions of years of quiet, patient change. Tonight, we explore this mystery with calm curiosity, as if walking through an ancient forest at twilight, listening to the soft echoes of time. Imagine for a moment that you are floating above the earth, watching its surface shimmer beneath thick clouds, slowly drift downward, feeling the air grow warmer, hearing the distant hum of a world still young. Picture oceans stretching endlessly in all directions, their surfaces rippling with silver moonlight. Take another slow breath, as if inhaling that ancient air. This is where our story begins. A world without animals, without plants, without even the simplest whisper of a heartbeat, just water, rock, and time. And yet, within this stillness, something extraordinary was preparing to awaken. Close your eyes gently, if you wish, and imagine the oceans of early Earth. They aren't quiet. They are alive with potential. Deep inside them, tiny molecules tumble and collide, guided only by chance and the slow, steady hand of nature. There is no sound here, only the gentle sway of currents and the soft glow of geothermal vents rising from the ocean floor. Take another deep breath and picture a single moment where, among countless chemical dances, one molecule finds another, and they cling together. This simple gesture, so small it would escape even a god's attention, is the first page of your story, the first whisper of evolution, the first glimmer of what would become every creature that has ever walked, crawled, swum, or dreamt. Relax your hands. Let your breaths lengthen. Let the vastness of time wash over you like a warm tide. As we drift deeper into the water, imagine watching molecules arrange themselves into the first primitive cells, tiny globes of water wrapped in delicate membranes. These early cells have no eyes, no voices, no thought, and yet they carry something astonishing, a pattern, a way of copying themselves, a way of continuing. This pattern is the earliest ancestor of the code inside your own cells, a code written not by a hand or a mind, but by the gentle pressure of nature over unthinkable spans of time. Tonight, we follow that code through its long, meandering path, tracing how evolution sculpted the human body, slowly, delicately, like an artist carving a statue from an unshaped stone. Take a moment to imagine yourself as one of those first living cells, a tiny bubble drifting through warm water, moved only by currents and gentle chemical pulls. You cannot see, but you can sense. You can feel the warmth of a vent nearby. You can detect the faint trail of nutrients drifting through the water. Even here, in this simple existence, the blueprint of every future body is beginning to unfold. The story of how life learns to survive, to adapt, to breathe slowly, and imagine millions of these tiny cells multiplying, forming colonies, sharing resources, learning, though not consciously, how to cooperate. the first hints of bodies forming, not yet hearts or lungs, but tiny communities bound together by necessity. Each step is small, almost imperceptible, but over millions of years, these small steps stack like grains of sand, building the vast and intricate world of living forms. Let your mind drift softly along this ancient timeline. Picture oceans filled with tiny creatures that evolve new ways of sensing the world. Some develop membranes that can detect light, others form simple tails to propel themselves more efficiently. Every adaptation is a quiet experiment conducted by nature itself, repeating endlessly until something useful arises. And now take another slow breath. Imagine the moment when life becomes more complex, when simple cells merge into larger multi-celled beings with specialized parts. One cell becomes devoted to movement, another becomes dedicated to sensing, another focuses on consuming nutrients. This division of labor is the earliest blueprint for tissues, which will eventually become organs, which will one day become the human body you inhabit. Let your shoulders relax a little more. Even now, your own body is a living museum of this ancient journey. The way your heart beats, the way your neurons fire, the way your muscles contract, all of it carries echoes of evolutionary experiments, older than any civilization, older than mountains, older even than oxygen-filled. Picture early Earth once more, filled with strange shapes drifting through warm seas, jelly-like bodies, ribbon-shaped swimmers, soft creatures gliding through dim waters. Their forms seem alien, yet they are your ancestors, even if only in the faintest, most distant way. Each creature tests new ideas, symmetry, movement, digestion, reproduction. Some fail and vanish forever. Others thrive and pass their successes forward, generation by gentle generation. Breathe in, breathe out, and imagine millions upon millions of years unfolding like slow waves across the shore. Evolution does not hurry. Nature has no deadline. Every new feature in a body, bones, eyes, ears, lungs, begins as a small, simple change that grows stronger over countless lifetimes. The first eye, for example, might have been nothing more than a patch of light-sensitive cells, just enough to tell light from dark. Over time, these patches grew deeper, curved inward, focused better, forming pupils, lenses, retinas. Even your ability to see this world at all is the result of quiet persistence written across eternity. Take a moment to appreciate the stillness around you. Let your breath settle gently in your chest. Feel the calm that comes from imagining a world where everything moves slowly, steadily, naturally. Now imagine the first creatures crawling onto land, their fins slowly becoming limbs, their lungs learning to draw breath from the open. These animals didn't know they were changing the course of life on Earth forever. They were simply adapting, step by step, inch by inch, their bodies shifting to meet the needs of the world around them. And so it continued, life branching like a great tree, each branch exploring new possibilities. Some became mammals, some became birds, some returned to the sea. And one tiny branch, fragile and unremarkable at first, began to develop larger brains, more complex hands, curious eyes that wondered at the stars. This branch would one day lead to you. Take one last deep breath for this chapter and relax into the idea that your body is not just a biological machine, but a quiet masterpiece crafted by the gentle patience of evolution. Every bone, every cell, every breath carries a story written across billions of years. Let this thought settle softly in your mind as we prepare to drift into the next chapter, where we will explore how evolution shaped the first bodies, guiding life from shapeless beginnings into forms that could move, sense, feel, and eventually drift. 2. The first shapes of life. Take a slow, deep breath and allow your mind to drift back once more to that ancient ocean where our story left off. The waters are still warm, still shimmering with the faint glow of volcanic vents beneath the surface. Life, in its earliest and simplest form, sways gently in the currents. Now, in this soft and tranquil place, the first bodies begin to take shape. Imagine yourself floating just above the ocean floor. The world here is silent except for the hush of water moving past your ears. As you hover in this dim blue glow, picture tiny clusters of cells forming spheres, tubes, and delicate sheets. They drift like soft lanterns. They pulse, they fold, they unfurl. These are the first experiments in what it means to have a body. Breathe slowly and imagine one of these clusters, small, fragile, barely more complex than a bubble of water. At first, every cell is identical, each doing the exact same thing. But then, almost imperceptibly, a quiet transformation begins. Some cells begin to change. They find different roles. One cell becomes better at absorbing nutrients. Another becomes more efficient at sensing the environment. Others grow longer, forming thin strands that help move the entire structure through the water. This is the moment evolution discovers specialization, a gentle shift that will, over billions of years, become the heartbeat of every complex organism, including you. Take another slow breath, letting your chest rise and fall like the tide. As the cells continue to specialize, they begin to communicate with one another in ways that were previously impossible. Signals travel from one side of the organism to the other, faint chemical whispers that tell each cell what to do, how to behave, how to contribute. In this soft, ancient darkness, communication becomes the lifeblood of bodies. Now imagine watching this young form grow more coordinated. Perhaps it twitches gently or bends in response to light. These movements are small, tiny ripples in the water, but they are meaningful. They are the first steps toward muscles, nerves, and the incredible symphony of coordination that one day will allow animals, humans included, to walk, reach, explore, and dream. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breath deepen. Allow this slow evolution to unfold in your mind like the pages of a book turning in a quiet room. Gradually, some of these simple organisms begin folding inward, forming a hollow center. Others flatten out like leaves, increasing the surface area through which they can absorb nutrients. These shapes, though simple, are not accidental. They are shaped by the pressures of the environment, by currents, by sunlight, by the presence of predators or competitors that will appear much later. Picture the ocean glowing with millions of these small shapes, each moving and changing according to nature's patient guidance. Some will become ancestors of jellyfish and soft-bodied worms. Others will give rise to sponges, corals, and strange ribbon-like creatures that glide along the seafloor. Deep breath in, slow breath out. As these early organisms evolve more complex shapes, they begin interacting with the environment in new ways. Some start to sense chemicals drifting through the water, faint hints of food or danger. Others become sensitive to pressure, learning to detect the subtle vibrations of movement nearby. A few even develop primitive patches of cells that can detect light, allowing them to move toward or away from brightness. These tiny sensory patches, barely noticeable in the soft glow of the early ocean, are the first ancestors of eyes. Not the eyes we know today, no color, no detail, but small, gentle distinctions between light and dark, enough to suggest direction, enough to create preference, enough to change behavior in a world that is always shifting. Imagine the quiet wonder of this life, which began as mere molecules drifting through water, is now beginning to interpret the world, to sense patterns, to respond. This is the first spark of awareness, not consciousness, but presence, a way of being that expands gradually as bodies become more complex. Let yourself sink into the calm of that. Every sense you have, your sight, your touch, your taste, your hearing, has its roots in these tiny patches of primitive cells. Evolution is slow, but it is brilliantly persistent. Now visualize the first organisms developing symmetry. At first, bodies might be irregular, uneven, lacking order, but then some creatures form radial symmetry, like the spokes of a wheel. This shape allows them to sense the world in all directions equally, a helpful design in the open water. Others begin developing bilateral symmetry, a left and a right side, which makes forward movement more efficient. This structural decision, made countless millions of years ago, will eventually become the blueprint for human bodies. 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 sides of the brain, 2 halves of a face. Take a moment to feel your own symmetry. Notice the gentle balance of your body, your left and right hands, your feet, your shoulders. This arrangement is not random. It is a quiet echo of ancient bodies drifting through warm seas. Now imagine evolution discovering the power of internal structure. Simple tissues become stronger, better organized. Some animals develop thin rods of support. Others form soft hydrostatic skeletons, bodies supported by fluid pressure. Eventually, in some distant lineage, bones will appear, hard protective structures that provide shape and strength. Take another slow breath. Let it remind you of how your own skeleton holds you gently upright. Each step in this evolutionary story is subtle, almost invisible when viewed moment to moment. But when billions of years pass like gentle waves brushing the shore, these tiny adjustments accumulate into profound transformation. Bodies become more intricate, organs begin to form, nerves weave through tissues, carrying messages faster and more efficiently. Imagine nerves as threads of light inside these early creatures. They carry simple signals at first. Move here, contract there, respond now. Over time, these signals grow more complex, forming the first primitive nervous systems. These early networks will eventually expand into the brains and spinal cords of animals, including the ones that would one day learn to stand, walk, speak, and ponder the origins of their own bodies. Let your mind ease into that thought. The complexity within you right now, your thoughts, your feelings, your memories, can trace their lineage back to these faint glowing threads in ancient oceans. Slow, deep breath. As the first bodies become more defined, evolution begins to refine movement. Some creatures learn to swim more efficiently by flexing their bodies in gentle waves. Others crawl along the ocean floor using small hair-like structures. Each new movement opens a new possibility, new food, new environments, new ways of surviving. Imagine the ocean as a vast canvas where evolution paints slowly, patiently. Each creature is an experiment. Some designs flourish, others fade, but all of them contribute to the tapestry that will eventually give rise to vertebrates, mammals, primates, and finally, humans. Now take one more long, calming breath. Let your mind settle into the smooth flow of this history. At the end of this chapter, feel yourself floating peacefully in the ancient sea, surrounded by the first bodies nature ever shaped. These shapes, simple yet profound, are the ancestors of everything alive. As you relax, imagine these early forms glowing softly in the water, their movements gentle, rhythmic, soothing. They represent beginnings, humble ones, yet filled with unimaginable potential. Rest in this stillness for a moment. Feel connected to the long, quiet lineage of life that stretches behind you like a river flowing through time. And when you're ready, we will continue into chapter 3.
exploring how these early shapes transformed into creatures capable of movement, sensation, and exploration.
3. The first movements of life. Take a slow, gentle breath and allow the ancient ocean to rise again within your imagination. The waters are calm tonight. The world is still young, and life, though simple, is beginning to explore new rhythms. In this quiet place, the first true movements are being born. Picture yourself drifting in the soft blue twilight of the ocean. The surface above glows faintly with the touch of early sunlight, and the seafloor below stirs with subtle hints of shifting life. Here, among the drifting shapes we met before, nature begins to experiment with motion, real, purposeful motion, not just drifting in currents, not just responding to light, but moving from one place to another with intention, however faint. Take a deep breath and imagine one tiny creature. It has no eyes, no mouth, no bones. It is a delicate cluster of cells, round and soft, but something inside it begins to pulse. A subtle contraction, then release. Another contraction, then release. With each gentle ripple, the little creature is nudged forward. This is one of the earliest forms of movement. Small, rhythmic waves traveling through a soft body. Movement begins as a whisper. Let your breath follow that rhythm. Slow wave in, slow wave out. As you breathe, picture the creature exploring its surroundings, the faint pulses of its body, guiding it through the water. Over time, the cells inside it become more specialized. Some contract more strongly. Others sense changes in pressure or temperature. Tiny fibers form precursors to muscle. This is evolution, discovering movement, not the powerful strides of land animals yet, not the swift motion of fish, but a gentle beginning, a quiet experiment in the dark. Imagine millions of these early organisms drifting and pulsing across the ancient seas. Their tiny movements give them an advantage. They can approach nutrients instead of waiting for the currents to bring food. They can avoid harmful chemicals. They can reach warmer or cooler waters depending on what they need. Over countless generations, these small benefits accumulate. Movement becomes survival. Survival becomes change. Change becomes transformation. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Now picture a different creature, one shaped almost like a soft, rippling ribbon. Its body undulates gracefully, side to side like a thin flag drifting through the water. Each wave of its body pushes it forward in a smooth, elegant dance. This form of movement will one day inspire the motion of eels, fish, even the swimming strokes of whales. The ocean begins to fill with creatures that move in different ways. Some rotate tiny, hair-like structures, called cilia, thousands of them, to glide effortlessly through the water. Others grow longer fibers that beat like miniature oars. Some squish and stretch their jelly-like bodies, pulsing in gentle rhythm. Each style of motion is a new idea, tested not by a mind, but by the quiet laws of physics and the patient guidance of evolution. Imagine watching these early swimmers from above, like looking down at drifting points of light. Some glide in smooth lines, others wobble playfully, a few spin gently, reacting to currents and chemicals. Together, they create a slow, mesmerizing dance across the ancient sea. Let your shoulders relax as you imagine this ballet of early life. Movement triggers new possibility. Creatures that can move need ways to sense their surroundings more accurately. They need to know when they are nearing food, when they are approaching danger, when they should swim upward or downward. This pressure encourages the development of new structure. Imagine the first nerve cells forming, thin, elongated threads that can send signals quickly from one part of a body to another. Before this, communication inside organisms was slow, relying on chemical diffusion. But now, with the emergence of nerves, movement becomes smoother, more coordinated. Picture a simple organism stretching out, its tiny nerve fibers glowing faintly as they fire. One cell contracts, then another, then another. The contraction flows along its body like a soft wave, propelling it forward. This is the birth of neuromuscular coordination, the intimate dance between nerves and muscle that one day will allow humans to walk, run, stretch, speak, and cradle the world with their hands. Breathe in and imagine these early creatures exploring the seafloor. Some begin burrowing ever so gently, wriggling into soft sediment to find food or safety. Others learn to cling to rocks or plants using sticky cell structures. Some even learn the beginnings of predation, drifting towards smaller organisms to engulf them. Movement creates complexity. Complexity encourages innovation. Innovation builds bodies. Take a moment to imagine the ocean thousands, millions, even tens of millions of years later. The creatures have changed. They are still soft-bodied, still simple compared to modern animals, but their movements are diverse and graceful. Some wiggle, some crawl, some float upward using air-filled sacs, some dart forward more quickly than any creature before them. As these new forms of movement arise, shapes begin to change. Streamlined bodies move faster through water, flattened bodies glide along the seafloor, elongated bodies weave and coil. Evolution slowly shapes creatures into forms that match their motions. Close your eyes gently, if you wish, and imagine how your own body carries echoes of these ancient movements. The smooth motion of your spine reflects the undulating ancestors who swam through the oceans. The organization of your muscles traces back to fibers developed in these early swimmers. Even the structure of your nerves reflects pathways discovered in those calm, ancient waters. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Movement encourages the brain to develop further. It requires decisions, however simple. Should the organism swim toward the light? Should it avoid certain chemicals? Should it burrow deep? These small decisions form the foundation of what will eventually become nervous systems complex enough to handle learning, memory, awareness. Picture the first clusters of nerve cells forming simple networks. They coordinate movement. They respond to stimuli. They store the faintest hints of information. Though these early animals cannot think in any recognizable way, they are beginning to process the world. Their movements become more purposeful. Let your mind drift with. Imagine floating alongside these creatures as they navigate the ocean, primitive explorers in a world still forming itself. Now imagine the first predators. They are not fast. They are not fierce, but they can move, and movement allows pursuit. Prey begins moving faster, becoming more responsive, more agile. This interplay between predator and prey becomes a powerful engine of evolution. Bodies grow stronger, reflexes sharpen, movements become more complex. From simple pulses of contraction come coordinated waves. From waves come limbs, fins, paddles. From limbs, millions of years later come hands capable of art, tools, and delicate gestures. All of it begins here in the quiet ocean, with tiny creatures learning how to move. Take another deep breath and picture the seafloor covered in small trails, wiggles in the sediment left behind by worms and soft-bodied explorers. These marks are some of the earliest evidence of animal movement on Earth. Imagine those subtle tracks preserved for millions of years, recording silent journeys across ancient sands. As you breathe slowly, let the thought settle. Movement is one of the great innovations of life. Without it, bodies might never have developed complexity, senses might never have sharpened, brains might never have grown. Evolution itself might have remained simple, static, quiet.
But instead, nature chose motion, and because of that choice, life became dynamic, life became expressive, life became capable of exploring, escaping, discovering. Let your breath soften. Let the calm of this ancient world wash over you. Feel the weightlessness of drifting through prehistoric seas, tracing the first footsteps, soft, fluid footsteps of life's unfolding journey. This is where the story of bodies truly begins. Shapes were necessary, but movement gave those shapes purpose. Rest in this thought, letting it fill you with the gentle wonder of how far life has come. And when you're ready to drift forward, we will continue into Chapter 4, exploring how movement and complexity gave rise to the first true organs, the beginnings of hearts, guts, and the internal machinery that would one day power every creature on Earth.
For the birth of organs, take a slow, steady breath and let your mind sink once more into the warm waters of the ancient sea. The world around you is drifting in soft blues and greens, light shimmering like liquid silk through the water. You can almost feel the temperature, gentle, comforting, steady, like the earth itself is holding you. Tonight, we follow life as it takes one of its greatest steps forward, the creation of organs. For a moment, imagine the early creatures we visited in the last chapter, soft-bodied, moving quietly through the ocean, pulsing gently, sensing light, feeling the faintest trace of chemicals. Their bodies are simple, but they are beginning to communicate within themselves, learning to coordinate, to cooperate. These first networks of cells are like delicate threads connecting one side of the body to the other, and now, slowly, something new begins to unfold. Breathe in, breathe out. Imagine cells gathering themselves into distinct teams, not just simple clusters, but functional communities. Some cells become more efficient at managing digestion, others become specialists at movement, others begin to focus on internal regulation, balancing chemicals, maintaining shape. Over millions of years, these communities refine their roles, forming the very first organs. Picture this happening not as a sudden leap, but as a gentle ripple spreading through the history of life. At first, bodies are like small, soft pouches. Inside them, nutrients swirl freely, but over time, pockets begin to form, tiny folds that separate one function from another. One pocket becomes slightly better at breaking down food. Another becomes slightly better at absorbing nutrients. Yet another becomes better at contracting rhythmically to move liquid around the body. These subtle shifts build the foundation of digestive systems, circulatory systems, and respiratory systems, the beginnings of hearts and stomachs and vessels. Imagine a simple creature, something like an early worm lying on the seafloor. Its body flattens, lengthens, and develops an internal tube running from one end to the other. This tube becomes a digestive tract, a long hallway through which nutrients travel. The creature no longer needs to digest food in a loose, open space. Now it can break it down efficiently, in sequence, in stages. Take a deep breath and visualize your own digestive system, long and winding, carrying echoes of this ancient innovation. You are a living timeline of evolutionary creativity. Now imagine a different cluster of cells forming around that tube, cells that compress gently, helping move nutrients along. This rhythmic compression is early peristalsis, a wave-like contraction that still moves food through your body today. Soft waves, slow pulses, a motion that began billions of years before you were born. Let your shoulders relax. Feel the wave-like nature of your breath, mirroring the quiet waves of early life. Over time, These organisms face new challenges. As bodies become larger, their simple diffusion-based systems where nutrients and oxygen drift passively are no longer enough. Cells deep inside the body need help. They need delivery systems, pathways, pumps. And so evolution begins to shape one of its most remarkable inventions. Don't imagine a human heart. Not yet. Picture instead a tiny muscular patch, just a few cells capable of contracting in rhythm. At first, it merely helps move nutrients and water around a small body. The movement is soft, almost shimmering, but over many generations, this patch becomes stronger, more organized, more efficient. It creates pulses, waves of movement that carry fluid throughout the organism. Take a slow breath. Imagine that tiny heart beating gently in the water, driving life forward with every soft contraction. This is the ancestor of every heartbeat that has ever existed. Every fish, amphibian, reptile, bird, mammal, and yes, your own. Imagine now the emergence of vessels, simple channels forming through tissues. First, they are open spaces, like shallow grooves. Later, they become more defined, lined with cells, forming internal rivers that carry nutrients and oxygen where they are needed most. Evolution is building pathways. Evolution is building circulation. Evolution is building the choreography of life. Let your breath deepen as you picture these early creatures becoming more efficient, more complex, with a working digestive tract and a primitive circulatory system. Bodies can grow larger, they can store more energy, they can move farther and faster, they can explore places smaller organisms could never reach. And with this growth comes the need for even more specialization. Imagine oxygen, invisible, essential, drifting through the water. Early creatures absorb it through their skin, simple function. But as bodies grow thicker, the inner cells no longer have direct access to this vital resource. They must rely on delivery systems, specialized tissues designed to transport oxygen inward. This leads to the birth of respiratory organs. At first, they are simple folds of tissue, thin membranes with lots of surface area. Some creatures develop gills, delicate structures that wave softly in the currents, pulling oxygen from the water and sending it into the body's growing network of vessels. Picture those gills now. Imagine them shimmering like soft feathers underwater, glowing pale blue as they exchange gases. Over time, this beauty becomes the foundation of more advanced systems. Lungs for creatures that will one day walk upon the land. Take a slow breath, feeling your own lungs expand, and know that their deep ancestry lies here, in the gentle waving folds of ancient gills. As the architecture of life grows richer, other organs begin to appear. Primitive kidneys form to filter waste. Early livers begin to manage chemicals. Tiny clusters of cells act as control centers, regulating salinity, balancing minerals, helping maintain stability in a changing world. Imagine each of these organs as subtle innovations, small improvements that open new possibilities for life. The more functions bodies can perform internally, the more environments they can inhabit. Now let your mind drift for a moment into the early Cambrian seas, a time when organs flourish and bodies explode into diversity. Creatures with simple hearts swim among others with gills. Organisms with early nervous systems glide past ones that have developed specialized stomachs. Everywhere, nature is experimenting, trying new designs, new shapes, new rhythms. Breathe deeply, letting this ancient creativity fill your thoughts with quiet wonder. Organ systems soon begin working together. Movement supports digestion. Digestion fuels circulation. Circulation powers muscles. Sensory organs guide interactions with the world. Everything is connected. Everything is cooperative,
Everything is becoming more than the sum of its parts. Let that idea settle gently in your mind. Your own body is not a collection of isolated organs. It is a beautifully synchronized whole, shaped by billions of years of patient refinement. Now imagine a single creature drifting through the ancient ocean. It has a small heart, a tube-like gut, simple gills, primitive muscles, and basic nerves. It is not remarkable by modern standards, but in its quiet existence lies the blueprint for all future complex animals. You and all living beings share this ancestry. Every organ inside you has a story that began in these warm, ancient waters. Take one final deep breath for this chapter. Let your body soften. Let your thoughts mellow into a gentle quiet. Feel the presence of your own organs working harmoniously inside you. Breathing, circulating, sensing, digesting. These systems connect you not only to your own present moment, but to the entire history of life. You are the continuation of a story older than mountains, older than rain, older than the sky itself. Rest in this awareness as we prepare to continue. And when you're ready, we will drift into chapter 5, where we explore how evolution shaped the first nervous systems into more complex networks, leading eventually to reflexes, awareness, and the earliest sparks of intelligence.
5. The dawn of awareness. Take a gentle, calming breath and picture the ancient seas once more, stretching endlessly beneath a sky untouched by human eyes. The world is quiet here. The water moves slowly, like a soft sigh across the skin of the earth. Life floats, wriggles, and pulses, each creature following the ancient rhythms of movement and survival. And now, in this quiet world, something extraordinary begins to unfold, a transformation that will one day lead to thought, memory, emotion, and the spark of consciousness. Tonight, we drift into the birth of the nervous system. Imagine yourself sinking slowly, peacefully, into the depths of the primordial ocean. Around you, creatures glow faintly with life, soft-bodied, translucent shapes, moving with pulsing contractions. Inside their bodies, tiny networks of cells are forming. At first, these networks are irregular, scattered like lonely stars across a dark sky. They can sense pressure, they can react to touch. But now, something new is beginning. Cells start to connect. Connections form pathways. Pathways form networks. Networks form the dawn of awareness. Take a slow breath in and imagine a faint electrical spark traveling through one of these simple networks. It begins as a chemical whisper, then becomes an impulse, a tiny flash of information that moves from one cell to another. This single spark allows a creature to react more quickly to changes around it, to contract when touched, to swim when disturbed, to retreat when threatened. These are not thoughts, not yet. There is no mind behind them, but there is responsiveness, a new kind of interaction with the world. Imagine these networks growing larger, weaving themselves through the creature's body like glowing threads. Some threads detect the slightest flicker of light. Others sense chemicals drifting through the water. Others respond to tiny vibrations, warning of movement nearby. Take another deep breath and feel your own nerves echoing these ancient origins. Every sensation you have, every warmth, every touch, every sound arises from systems that began here. Now imagine a creature with a slightly more organized network. Its nerves begin forming clusters, little hubs where signals gather and spread. These clusters become ganglia, early centers of coordination. Picture them like small lanterns of activity inside the body, glowing softly as they interpret what the creature senses. These clusters allow for faster, more efficient responses. Instead of reacting in simple, generalized ways, the creature begins to react with nuance. It can turn toward food. It can escape danger. It can navigate in more purposeful patterns. This is the beginning of an internal decision-making process, the first hint of what will eventually become intelligence. Close your eyes gently, if you wish, and imagine floating alongside one of these early organisms. As you watch, a faint shadow passes overhead, and the creature pulses downward instinctively, away from the threat. This behavior is not random. It is guided by its growing nervous system, a delicate network of sensing, processing, and reacting. Let your breath soften. Let your muscles melt into stillness. Now imagine evolution continuing its patient work. Over millions of years, these clusters begin to concentrate toward one end of the body. That end becomes more sensitive, more aware, more capable of processing information. This is the birth of the head, and within it, the first primitive brain, small, simple, but capable of coordinating movement, sensing danger, and guiding the body through space. Imagine the brain as a tiny glowing sphere, barely the size of a grain of sand. It cannot think in the way you can. It cannot imagine, dream, or reflect, but it can interpret signals. It can control muscles. It can guide the creature with a new level of sophistication. Take a slow breath in and picture this ancient creature exploring the seafloor, its tiny brain processing streams of information. The faint glow of light above tells it where to swim. The chemicals drifting through the water tell it where to find food. Vibrations warn it of hidden dangers. Its movements are no longer purely instinctive. They are coordinated, efficient, purposeful. Awareness has begun. Let your mind drift deeper into this thought. Awareness does not appear suddenly. It unfolds gradually, gently, like a flower opening under the soft warmth of sunlight. With every new sensory cell, with every new nerve pathway, life becomes more capable of interacting with the world in meaningful ways. Now imagine a creature with a bundle of nerves running along its body. An early version of the spinal cord. Signals travel quickly along this line, coordinating movement from head to tail. Reflexes develop, swift automatic responses that protect the body without requiring conscious thought. Picture the creature brushing against a grain of sand. Instantly, its body contracts and pulls away. This rapid reaction is one of evolution's great inventions, allowing animals to survive dangers they cannot see, understand, or predict. Your own body still uses these ancient reflexes. When something startles you, your muscles tighten before you even realize what happened. When you touch something hot, your hand pulls back before your mind forms a word. These responses were shaped here, in the quiet cradle of early life. Slow breath in, slow breath out. As nervous systems grow increasingly complex, creatures begin exploring with intention. Their movements follow patterns. They remember the locations of food. They learn which areas are safe. They begin in the faintest sense to experience something like preference. Imagine a tiny worm-like creature navigating a patch of algae. It swims toward the taste it prefers. It avoids harmful stimuli it has encountered before. These small behaviors might be the earliest seeds of memory. Memory becomes stability. Stability becomes learning. Learning becomes the foundation of intelligence. Let your breath deepen as you imagine these early creatures becoming more attuned to their surroundings. Their nervous systems are becoming sophisticated maps of the environment. Each new connection, each new cluster, increases their ability to survive.
Now imagine the first true sensory organs evolving more complexity. Simple eye spots become more refined, capable of detecting shapes and movement. Chemosensory cells become early versions of smell and taste. Touch receptors grow more sensitive. The world becomes richer, more vivid, more detailed. Life begins not only to exist, but to experience. Your own senses, sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch, trace their ancestry to these early innovations. Feel the gentle hum of that history inside you, as if your nerves still echo the memory of their ancient origin. Imagine the ocean now filled with creatures whose nervous systems are blossoming. Some swim with greater coordination. Some hunt with newfound precision. Some hide more effectively. Some explore environments never visited before. This diversity of nervous systems leads to a diversity of behavior, and with behavior comes complexity. And with complexity comes the first whispers of what will one day become thought. Take a deep, peaceful breath and imagine that within these early animals lies the blueprint for every brain that will ever exist. Fish, reptiles, birds, mammals, each will modify this template, expanding it, refining it, shaping it to suit different needs and environments. Eventually, one lineage will develop brains large enough to ponder the stars, to create music, to tell stories, to wonder about its own origins. But for now, we rest here in the gentle dawn of awareness, where life is learning to sense, to respond, to interact. Let your thoughts float softly, like drifting plankton, as we conclude this chapter. Feel the calm certainty that your own awareness, the quiet presence behind your thoughts, connects you to this ancient moment. The nervous systems inside you, intricate and brilliant, were shaped by billions of years of gentle refinement. Take one more long, slow breath. Let yourself feel gratitude for the long, patient journey that gave rise to the mind you carry today. And when you're ready, we will continue forward into Chapter 6, where we explore how these early nervous systems expanded further into the first complex brains, ushering in the age of mobility, perception, and purposeful behavior.
6. The first minds that moved. Settle yourself softly. Allow your breath to lengthen, smooth and steady, like the slow pull of a tide across ancient shores. Tonight, we drift deeper into the ocean of early life, into the era when nervous systems grew bold enough to guide bodies through the world with purpose, agility, and choice. Welcome to the birth of the first complex brain. The world begins to awaken. Imagine the oceans of Earth nearly 50 million years ago. Light filters downward in shimmering beams, scattering like drifting gold dust. The sea is no longer quiet. Life pulses everywhere. Bodies glide, crawl, wriggle, and sweep across the seafloor. Tiny creatures graze on microbial mats. Predators dart through the water in sudden, graceful bursts. Within these bodies, something transformative is emerging. The first complex brains, small, intricate networks of tissues capable of processing information in ways that surpass anything the world has seen before. Take a gentle breath and imagine glowing paths of electricity moving through early neural circuits. Signals flow like illuminated rivers, branching and rebranching, carrying meaning. Senses sharpen, movements become more coordinated, reactions grow more sophisticated. The world becomes not only observable, but navigable. Some creatures begin to explore, others begin to hunt. Some begin to plan simple behaviors, patterns that require memory, prediction, or anticipation. This is the dawn of mobility, guided by mind. Buys that changed everything. Close your eyes. Ironically, to understand vision. For millions of years, early life sensed only light and dark through simple eye spots. But now, evolution experiments. Eyes grow deeper, forming cups that can detect direction. They focus light more precisely. Nervous tissue collects behind them, interpreting patterns. Then, in one lineage, perhaps most famously in ancient trilobites, eyes develop crystalline lenses that allow true sight. Imagine it now, a world once blurred suddenly bursting into detail, shapes, edges, motion, shadows drifting across the sand, the glimmer of the ripple of a predator's fin. Vision becomes a revolution, and with vision, the brain expands. New pathways form, new processing centers arise. Creatures begin to perceive instead of merely respond. This is the first spark of environmental understanding, a primitive awareness of a world out there separate from the self. Breathe slowly. Feel your own eyes relax, carrying within them the long, ancient lineage of these first lenses. Nerves become highways. Imagine a creature shaped like an early worm, but longer, stronger, more graceful. Along its body runs a nerve cord, a highway of communication. From this highway branch hundreds of smaller nerves, reaching into every segment, every muscle, signals travel rapidly. Touch nerve coordination center action. A tiny vibration in the sand may mean food. It may mean danger. The creature does not think in any human sense, but it evaluates. It chooses an action. This is the earliest form of processing choice. Now imagine this system growing more intricate. Nerve cords thicken, ganglia grow larger, signals become more refined, movements become smoother, faster, more precise. The ocean begins to fill with animals capable not just of movement, but of strategy. Your breath, your pulse, your reflexes all still use these ancient systems, quietly echoing through your entire nervous system. The first hunters, let your mind drift now toward a creature known to paleontologists as Anomalocaris, one of the first apex predators of the Cambrian seas. Picture it drifting through the water, large eyes scanning the environment. Its brain interprets motion. Its body adjusts, tilts, accelerates. Signals travel down its nerve cords like lightning. It is not a mind full of emotion or introspection, but it is a mind that perceives, reacts, and pursues. For the first time, the world hosts beings that predict. If prey turns left, the predator anticipates the path. If prey hides, the predator searches the patterns of disturbance. These are early steps toward cognition. Feel the ancient pulse of this moment. This is where purposeful behavior takes root. Your movement becomes intelligence. Take a soft breath in. Movement and brain expansion go hand in hand. The more a creature moves through its environment, the more it benefits from processing information. Where is food? Where is safety? What patterns lead to survival? Creatures that could remember locations, judge distances, and react accurately became more successful. Their neural tissues grew stronger, more organized, more adaptive. Imagine early shrimp-like animals learning simple navigational routes. Picture fish ancestors remembering which currents carried nutrients. Think of small creatures that return to safe burrows, not by accident, but by memory. These behaviors require internal maps. Primitive, yes, but astonishing in their novelty. The first complex brains were sculpting the earliest forms of spatial memory, pattern recognition, predictive behavior, decision making. Now let your shoulders drop, releasing any tension. Feel the gentle truth.
that your own brain still uses these foundational systems, refined, expanded, but ancient. Emotion, the quiet beginnings. You might wonder, did these early creatures feel emotion? Not emotion as humans experience it, not joy, sadness, grief, or love, but they did feel states. States like arousal, hunger, comfort, alertness, all driven by chemical signals that surge through neural tissues. Imagine an early creature detecting the faint scent of food. Its body stirs, energy rises, nerves fire more rapidly. This is not thought, it is not desire in a conscious sense, but it is the early root from which desire will one day grow. Similarly, when danger approaches, stress chemicals surge, muscles tense, reflexes sharpen. This is not fear with a story. It is not fear colored by imagination, but it is the physiological ancestor of fear. Breathing softly, notice how your own emotional states are grounded in the same biological machinery, ancient, efficient, wise. The brain's core architecture emerges. In these early animals, the general blueprint for every future brain takes form. A central processing region, proto-brain, a longitudinal nerve cord, proto-spinal cord, sensory clusters for vision, touch, motor clusters to control coordinated movement, reflex pathways for fast reactions. Over millions of years, this architecture would branch into astonishing complexity. The brains of insects, the brains of fish, the brains of amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, and eventually the human brain itself, layered, intricate, aware. But the blueprint lives here in the shimmering Cambrian seas. Take another slow breath. Let it sink deeply into your chest. You carry inside you a cathedral of neural architecture that began in these quiet waters, a growing awareness of the world. Now imagine one of these early creatures stopping just for a moment, hovering in the water. It senses the current. It tastes the chemical traces drifting toward it. It feels pressure waves behind it. It sees the shadow of a distant object. In that moment, the creature's nervous system becomes a map of its surroundings, not a conscious map, not a thoughtful map, but a dynamic, moment-to-moment representation of the world. This ability to model the outside world internally is one of evolution's most profound inventions. Your own brain does this constantly. The room you sit in right now is mirrored inside your neural circuits. Your awareness is the descendant of this ancient ability. Let that realization settle gently over you, like a soft blanket. The ocean full of minds. As millions of years pass, the seas become crowded with creatures whose nervous systems bloom in complexity. The ocean becomes a world illuminated not only by sunlight, but by perception. A billion tiny sparks of awareness flicker beneath the waves. Each flicker is a creature sensing the world. Each flicker is a decision, a reaction, a learned pattern. Each flicker is a step toward the minds of the future. You are connected to all of them through time and biology and the shared language of neurons. Breathe in that heritage, breathe out the weight of the day. Let your mind drift with these ancient minds that moved. A gentle closing for the night. As this chapter draws to a quiet close, imagine yourself floating in the ancient sea, surrounded by early creatures whose minds are awakening. The water is warm, the light is soft, the currents carry you gently. Within you, your own nervous system hums, alive, intricate, shaped by billions of years of change. You are the newest chapter in a story that began long before thought, long before emotion, long before consciousness itself. And when you're ready, we will journey onward to chapter 7, where the first true vertebrate brains emerge and the world takes its next breathtaking step toward complexity.
7. The spine that stood against time, Settle your breath gently, as if inhaling through a curtain of warm twilight. Let the exhale release the weight of the day. Tonight, we step into a transformative moment in the history of life, a moment when evolution crafted a structure so elegant, so resilient, so endlessly adaptable that it would shape the bodies of fish, birds, reptiles, mammals, eventually your own. Tonight, we explore the birth of the vertebrate body. In the dim glow of ancient oceans, allow your imagination to drift toward a creature unlike the others, slender, flexible, and guided by a new kind of internal strength. Something hidden within its form grants it power, balance, and a smoother way of moving through the world. This something is the notochord, a simple rod at first, a line drawn through the body, a promise of what the future will become. Let your breath move slowly, following that same line down your spine, long and steady, connecting you to this ancient design. The ocean before the spine. Imagine seas alive with early animals, flat bodied creatures, soft bodied swimmers, and worm like drifters. Their bodies bend freely, sometimes too freely, leaving them vulnerable to sudden currents or collisions. Movement is possible, yes, but not efficient, not controlled. Their bodies are like ships without keels, flexible, quick, but hard to steer. Then, somewhere in this swirling world, evolution sketches a quiet idea, a single line of firmness, a gentle inner beam, a central support. At first glance, it seems simple, almost too simple to change the world. But simplicity is often the seed of greatness. And in this case, the seed becomes a revolution. With the notochord, early vertebrate ancestors begin to glide with a new kind of grace. Their bodies move in waves, smooth and coordinated, each motion more powerful than the last. Imagine how the first of these creatures must have felt, not in emotion, but in movement. A body that could push against the water more effectively, a body that held its shape, a body that could twist with intention. Take a slow breath. Imagine that subtle, ancient feeling of control. Meet the earliest vertebrate ancestors. Now, let your mind drift gently to a creature known as Pikaya, a tiny eel-like swimmer from more than 500 million years ago. Not large, not armored, not fierce, but quietly magnificent. A line of support runs through its form. Tiny muscle blocks line its sides like beads on a string. Each contraction ripples down the body, sending it forward with surprising precision. And along the back, a primitive nerve cord glows softly in your imagination, a faint precursor to the spinal cords we know today. Now, drift forward a few million years, and the oceans welcome another creature, Haikukethis, a name that sounds like a whispered secret. This early fish-like being possesses rudimentary eyes, delicate fins, and the beginnings of a skull. Its body is held together not by chance or softness, but by a structured central rod. Its movements are fast, agile, purposeful. It is one of the first true vertebrates. Its descendants will conquer oceans, rivers, land, sky, even imagination itself. Take a deep breath and honor this tiny creature. Without beings like these, you would not be here. Why build a backbone? Close your eyes for a moment and feel your own spine. 33 vertebrae stacked in a gentle curve, protecting the core of your nervous system. This structure supports you, balances you, anchors your muscles, protects your nerves, and gives your body form. But before it became the segmented column we know today, it began as a simple rod, and notochord flexible and strong. Evolution chose this path for many reasons. Strength without rigidity, and notochord allows smooth bending, not collapse. Efficient swimming, muscles can pull against a solid core, producing stronger, faster motion. Protection for nerves. The central nerve cord becomes safer when paired with supportive tissues, a blueprint for complexity. Once the spine exists, many innovations become possible. Skulls, ribs, limbs, and eventually complex brains. Let your breath flow along this idea, one structure enabling countless futures. Movement shapes minds. There is a beautiful truth in biology. Movement and brain development evolved together as early vertebrates swam with more precision, darting, twisting, chasing, fleeing. Their nervous systems expanded to match the demands of those movements. Imagine one of these creatures navigating underwater forests of algae. To twist around a stalk, it must sense distance. To avoid a predator, it must react quickly. To search for food, it must interpret patterns in light, current, and chemical traces. This requires coordination, memory, and the earliest forms of decision making. Each movement is a question. Each reaction is an answer. Each moment of survival is a tiny spark that strengthens neural pathways. Breathe in, feel your body's intelligence. Every movement you make echoes this deep history. The first skulls and their secrets. Now imagine a new innovation forming at the front of the body, a shield of bone or cartilage surrounding the most precious tissues, the growing brain. This is the birth of the skull. Within its protection, sensory organs flourish. Eyes become more complex. Balance organs begin to develop. Olfactory tissues, early scent processors expand. Picture an early vertebrate swimming through murky water, sensing vibrations, seeing faint shapes, smelling chemical trails. Its skull shelters not just the brain itself, but the evolution of perception. The world becomes clearer, more navigable, more meaningful. Your own skull carries this ancient tradition, protecting your memories, your senses, your thoughts, your dreams. Take a gentle moment to appreciate that shield, born from creatures no larger than your finger. The rise of jaws and power. As vertebrates continued to evolve, some developed one of the most influential structures in the history of Earth. Jaws. But jaws did not begin as jaws. They began as gill arches, simple supports for breathing structure. Over time, these arches modified, hardened, hinged. What once filtered water became capable of grasping prey. Imagine that transformation. A soft curve becomes a firm lever. A lever becomes a bite becomes a tool of stunning versatility. With jaws, early vertebrates gain access to new foods, new behaviors, new ways of shaping their world. This is the beginning of power. This is the beginning of complex feeding strategies. This is the beginning of ecological dominance. Feel your own jaw relax slightly, softening, releasing. It carries a long and mighty legacy. From water to thought, as vertebrates diversified, their nervous systems continued to grow more advanced. Complex brains developed three major regions: a forebrain for sensing the world, a midbrain for directing movements, a hindbrain for balance and coordination. These early divisions set the stage for everything to come, from fish navigation to bird songs to human introspection. Imagine the first vertebrates experiencing the world in richer ways: clearer sight, sharper balance, faster reflexes, stronger memories. The ocean becomes a place not just of instinct, but of learning. Pause here, breathe deeply, feel the quiet truth.
that your own brain is a cathedral built upon these earliest foundations. The legacy within you, your spine is a map of Earth's ancient story. Each vertebra is a chapter, each nerve is a whisper from the deep past. Each reflex carries memories older than thought. The shape of your body, the way you stand, the way you move, all of it traces back to tiny, soft bodied creatures that dared to grow a line of strength within themselves. When you stretch your back, you honor millions of ancestors. When you breathe deeply, you echo gill arches that became ribs. When you turn your head, you move a skull whose form was sketched 500 million years ago. You are the ocean, written in flesh. A gentle closing. As this chapter comes to rest, imagine yourself floating once more in ancient waters. Schools of early vertebrates move around you, their notochords shimmering like strands of moonlight beneath the waves. They swim with simple grace, unaware that they carry the blueprint of everything to come. Your body is one of their distant dreams realized. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts soften. Let the ancient stories settle gently within you. And when you're ready, I will continue with Chapter 8, where vertebrates rise to dominate the seas, each innovation shaping the path toward land, limbs, and the vast diversity of life.
8. Fins that touch the light. Let your breath drift softly in and out, like a tide moving beneath a starless sky. Settle your shoulders, loosen the jaw. Allow the quiet to thicken around you as we slip into another chapter of the long, gentle story of life. Tonight, we follow the rise of early fish, the first great explorers of the ancient seas, masters of motion, architects of the vertebrate body plan, and ancestors of every creature with a spine. Picture the water growing clearer around you, the currents warming, the world awakening with vibrant, drifting life. These are the oceans where our story deepens, where fins carve paths that will one day lead to hands, feet, wings, and hearts capable of dreaming. Welcome to a world shaped by swimming, the ocean flooded with possibility. Imagine the seas of the early Paleozoic era, more than 480 million years ago. Sunlight spills through the surface in trembling patterns, illuminating vast ecosystems teeming with early life. Coral-like structures rise from the seafloor. Trilobites scuttle across the sand like tiny armored caravans. Jelly-like creatures drift, fragile as thoughts. Then, in the shimmering distance, shadows begin to glide, long shapes, strong, balanced, rhythmic. Early fish, their bodies slip through the water with elegance the world has never seen before. The ocean becomes their symphony, and their movements are the first melodies of mastery. Take a slow breath and imagine their fins cutting gracefully through the water, steady, confident. The rise of fish is the rise of coordinated life. The seas become classrooms of evolution, teaching organisms how to move with power and precision. The first fins, nature's quiet experiment. Let your mind soften and envision a creature barely more than a head with a tail. Mollucomyia or Hycocethys, early vertebrates that glide through the water with simple fin-like structure. At first, fins are small folds of tissue along the body, less like arms and more like soft ripples. They guide, they steady, they help control direction. But over millions of years, these folds thicken with muscle, firm with cartilage, and shape themselves into true fins. These early fins are not yet capable of the complex dances of modern fish, but they are enough to offer agility, enough to offer speed, enough to transform the balance between predator and prey. Take a deep breath and picture those faint, early fins fluttering quiet as whispers, gentle as brushstrokes. They are the first steps toward limbs, the rise of jawed fish. Now imagine time sliding forward, like a wave pulling across the sand. The world welcomes a new lineage. Fish with jaws. These are the placoderms, ancient armored fish, wrapped in plates of bone like living sculptures. Some grow enormous, with jaws powerful enough to change ecosystems. Others remain small, nibbling on simple prey. The invention of jaws transforms everything. For the first time, creatures can grasp, bite, hold, crush, shape the world with intention. This is a turning point in the story of life. The ability to manipulate food gives these fish energy, power, and evolutionary momentum. Their bodies strengthen, their brains expand, their fins become sophisticated instruments of movement, balancing, steering, pivoting. Let your breath move slowly as you imagine these underwater giants drifting through warm seas, armored yet elegant, ancient yet astonishing. Sharks, the perfect motion of evolution. In the quiet of your mind, picture a shape cutting through the water like a blade drawn across silk. Sharks appear sleek, agile, masterfully engineered by evolution. Their skeletons are made of cartilage, lighter and more flexible than bone. Their fins are precise instruments of motion. The tail fin propels, the dorsal fin stabilizes, the pectoral fins steer like graceful wings. Each movement is a lesson in efficiency. Sharks are among the earliest examples of true hydrodynamic perfection. They move with fluid certainty, gliding through currents as if the water itself invites their passage. Their presence in the ancient oceans marks a new era, an era where predators develop strategy, speed, and sensory mastery. Take a slow breath, imagining their motion, smooth, unhurried, confident, as if the ocean belongs to them. The first bony fish, seeds of future limbs. Now let your imagination rise toward a new innovation, bony fish. These creatures are different from sharks. They possess internal skeletons made of calcium-rich bone, strong and adaptable. In these early bony fish, nature experiments with something extraordinary, fins supported by bony rays. These fins become versatile. They fan out like delicate fans. They fold back like feathers. They guide the body with remarkable agility. But evolution is not done. Within some fins, deeper inside lie thicker bone structures that resemble the foundations of arms and legs, a humerus-like bone, then branching elements that foreshadow radius and ulna, hints of wrists, a soft whisper of possibility. These are the lobe-finned fish, creatures like Eusthenopteran glide through ancient waters, with fins containing the architectural seeds of limbs. Take a soft breath. Those bones first drawn in ancient oceans will one day frame your arms and legs. Swimming with thought. As fish become more capable swimmers, their brains adapt in tandem. Neural circuits for balance sharpen. The cerebellum grows. Sensory systems, especially hearing and lateral line detection, expand. Fish begin to interpret pressure waves, responding to the slightest motion in the water around them. They sense vibrations. They detect electrical signals. They monitor currents with exquisite sensitivity. Every movement becomes a decision supported by thousands of years of evolutionary refinement. And slowly, an inner world forms, not consciousness as humans know it, but awareness, not imagination, but memory, not thought, but the beginnings of thought. Let your own mind drift into that feeling, awareness arising from motion, like ripples spreading across the surface of a pond.
fins that touch the edge of land. Now imagine shallow waters. The sun warms the surface. Plants grow along the edges. Mud collects in thick mats. The tides rise and fall in gentle rhythms. Lobe-finned fish begin exploring these shallows. Their fins, with bones inside, press into the mud. They push, they lift, they anchor, they give the creature a small but meaningful control over its position. This is not yet walking, not yet crawling, but something in between. An early whisper, a hint that movement might soon extend beyond water. Drift your breath into the space between possibility and reality. This is where life begins dreaming of new places, a world shaped by swimming, before vertebrates ever take a step on land, before lungs become widespread, before forests spread across continents, before mammals dream beneath the stars. Movement in water sets the stage. Swimming teaches bodies how to articulate. It teaches fins how to balance. It teaches muscles how to coordinate. It teaches nerves how to respond. It teaches evolution how to innovate. The entire architecture of the vertebrate body, your body, began with the language of water. Let that settle gently within you. You are made of ancient motion. Your structure is shaped by currents long gone. Your bones remember the rhythm of tides. A gentle closing for the night. As this chapter comes to rest, imagine yourself floating again in those ancient seas. Sunlight glimmers above you. Schools of early fish drift by, some armored, some sleek, some primitive, some astonishingly advanced. Their fins wave softly, like underwater lanterns. Their bodies sway with the pulse of distant tides. Their movements write the story of life in fluid strokes. You float among them, calm and unhurried, a visitor to the first great symphony of movement. Breathe, relax, rest in the ancient comfort of water. And when you're ready, simply say, continue, and I will guide you into chapter 9, where the first brave vertebrates rise from the water and touch land for the very first time.
9. The first faces of purpose. Imagine for a moment a tide pool at dawn. The sunlight has just begun to stretch across the surface of the water, its warmth rippling downward in waves of pale gold. In that gentle quietness, life moves slowly. Small creatures glide through the currents, each of them guided not by thought or intention, but by an ancient whisper lingering inside their cells, a whisper we now call instinct. A whisper evolution carved over millions of years. Take a deep breath and picture this slow underwater ballet. Let the soft glow of the imagined sunrise settle your mind. Let the drifting shapes become a kind of moving meditation, a reminder that even the simplest forms of life once floated through their world without fear, without direction, without purpose, until purpose began to take shape. This chapter, like a slow tide rising, is about that mysterious shift, the moment when life stopped merely existing and began behaving as though something mattered. When cells that once drifted aimlessly started to sense, to respond, and eventually to pursue. When the first faint outlines of purpose appeared long before any creature even had a brain. Let your breathing soften as we walk through this quiet turning point in the story of life. In the earliest days, behavior was little more than chemistry. Molecules bumped into each other, reactions happened, and survival depended purely on chance. But evolution nudges, encourages, refines. Over time, certain behaviors proved useful. A cell that drifted toward nutrients survived longer. One that recoiled from harmful chemicals lived to divide again. And with each repetition, Evolution carved deeper grooves of possibility, turning random movement into something that resembled intention. Purpose, of course, didn't appear suddenly. It grew the way a morning mist forms, slowly, quietly, from countless tiny droplets, one small adaptation at a time. First came sensitivity, a membrane that could feel the slightest chemical change, a protein that could react to light, a surface that curled or stiffened in response to pressure. These early senses were like little lanterns glowing inside the dark ocean of uncertainty. Life began noticing the world, one flicker at a time. Then came movement shaped by that noticing. Imagine a tiny organism swimming toward light, because light meant better chances of survival. It didn't choose the light. The mechanisms inside simply made it turn, but the world would never be the same again, because for the first time, life moved with direction, and direction, even the simplest kind, is the seed of purpose. Take a deep breath, slow and steady. Let the idea of ancient drifting life wash through your thoughts like a soft tide. Feel how natural, how inevitable this slow awakening seems. Soon after, evolution crafted more complex behaviors. Creatures began to sense not just light or chemicals, but vibrations, currents, and temperature. They developed the ability to retreat from predators before being touched, to seek shelter before danger arrived. This was no longer a world of passive existence. It was a world of reacting, anticipating, surviving. The first faint faces of purpose grew brighter, and so something even more extraordinary happened. Behavior started to shape bodies. When moving toward food helped an organism survive, evolution favored better muscles, better coordination, better systems for navigation. When escaping predators kept life alive, faster responses were rewarded. Over millions of years, bodies and behaviors danced together, each shaping the other. Picture this ancient dance like a slow-moving cosmic rhythm. Every flap of a primitive fin, every twitch of a cilia, every shift in direction was part of a choreography, older than memory, older than thought itself. Let yourself drift with that rhythm for a moment. Let it settle like a warm mist on your mind. As creatures evolved more refined behaviors, the building blocks of nervous systems began to form. At first, only a few cells passed along signals, then more. Pathways strengthened, networks grew, signals traveled fast. What began as faint electrical whispers, lighting up a few scattered cells, turned into coordinated pulses, the earliest neural symphonies. This was the dawn of something profound, the ability not just to react, but to coordinate reactions, to sense the world in a more unified way, to behave not just through chemistry, but through communication. The bodies of early animals began responding with increasing grace, a ripple of muscle contraction to glide through the water, a unified withdrawal reflex to avoid harm, a synchronized beat of cilia to climb toward light. If you close your eyes now and breathe slowly, you might imagine these early signals like fireflies glowing across a nighttime field, scattered at first, but slowly forming patterns, slowly learning to move with purpose. As nervous systems strengthened, another layer of evolution unfolded: memory. Not memory as we know it, not stories, not moments, not thoughts, but simple traces of past experiences. A cell that responded strongly to danger might respond even faster the next time. A pathway that brought success became easier to activate. Over generations, these small biological habits became encoded into DNA, shaping instincts long before minds existed. Purpose was no longer just a momentary reaction, it was something that could be carried, refined, and inherited. Deep within this ancient story lies the quiet truth that purpose was never a switch suddenly turned on. It was a gradient, a soft glow that grew brighter across millions of years. A faint sense of survival becoming instinct, instinct becoming behavior, becoming the blueprint for bodies, and eventually the foundation for the minds that would someday ponder their own existence. As we sit together in this calm moment, allow yourself to reflect on that long journey. Take a slow breath in and gently let it out. Feel the weight of time soften. Feel how your own body, your senses, your instincts, your awareness all trace their ancestry back to these simple beginnings. In every heartbeat you feel, there is the echo of those first purposeful movements. In every breath you take, there is the memory of those ancient creatures rising toward the light. And in every thought that drifts gently through your mind, there is the legacy of those early signals that once flickered through the bodies of creatures without faces, without sounds, without story. Life, in its calm and patient way, built purpose from the quietest sparks. Let this thought sink into your awareness like a stone settling peacefully at the bottom of a still pond. As this chapter drifts to a close, breathe deeply once more. Imagine the ancient water. Imagine the first bodies discovering direction. Imagine the earliest forms of purpose glowing softly in the dim blue oceans of the world. And when you are ready, we will continue our journey deeper into the story of how evolution shaped not just our bodies, but the minds that guide them. 10. The quiet birth of the spine. Imagine the ancient sea once more, vast and endless, its waters shimmering under the touch of a pale primordial sun. Let your breath slow, like gentle waves folding softly against a quiet shore. In this calm expanse, life drifts with unhurried grace. Creatures small and simple glide through the currents, their movements guided by tiny sparks of sensation, their futures shaped by instincts older than memory. Now take a deeper breath and picture the ocean floor, peaceful and untouched. Tiny shadows hover just above the sediment, moving as though held by invisible threads. Listen, in your imagination, to the slow hum of an ancient world. This is where our story continues. Here in the dim blue stillness, where evolution began crafting one of the most important structures of the animal kingdom, the spine. Before there were backbones, before skeletons rose within bodies, the earliest creatures were soft, squishy, and fragile. They bent easily with the currents, moved with the water's will, and survived through simple reflexes. But as life grew more complex, so too did the demands placed upon it. Movement needed stability, coordination needed structure, purpose needed a frame. Let your thoughts settle like sand drifting gently to the seabed, and imagine a creature shaped like a slender ribbon, nothing more than a simple tube, soft and delicate. Inside it, a faint line appears, a line that will one day change everything. This line is the notochord, the earliest ancestor of the vertebral column. Not yet bone, not yet segmented, but firm enough to give shape to movement. The notochord was not a spine as we know it today, but it was the first whisper of one, a flexible rod that ran along the length of the body, offering a new kind of support, a quiet resistance against the pressure of the surrounding world. It allowed these early organisms, our distant chordate ancestors, to move with more precision, more force, more purpose. Take a slow inhale. Feel the rise of your chest. Let the breath soothe your mind as though you were floating with these ancient beings. For millions of years, this simple structure defined the boundaries of possibility. With the notochord, movement transformed. Instead of bending helplessly with each wave, creatures could now push against the water. They could undulate, twist, propel themselves forward with greater control. Evolution had given them a backbone in spirit, if not yet in bone. Picture these early swimmers gliding through the sea like ribbons of light, their bodies graceful arcs that ripple through the water. Feel the calmness of their slow, rhythmic motions. But life was not content to stay the same. The oceans grew more diverse. Predators appeared, swift and hungry. Prey needed to escape quickly, efficiently, and with agility. The gentle notochord, for all its usefulness, needed reinforcement. Slowly, over millions of years, the ocean began filling with creatures whose bodies bore a new kind of structure, harder, stronger, more protected. Bony segments began forming around the notochord, like tiny shields arranged in a row, vertebrae, each segment protecting, supporting, strengthening the central pathway of the body. This was the true birth of the spine. Take a moment to reflect on this. The spine, the structure that supports your posture, allows you to bend, twist, walk, rest, traces its lineage to these tiny innovations deep in time. The same backbone that helps you sit comfortably at this very moment once started as a simple flexible rod drifting in ancient seas. Let your breath out slowly and imagine the vertebrae forming one by one like stepping stones arranged along a riverbed, each stone placed with patience, each stone shaping the path ahead. As vertebrae developed, something else grew alongside them, the spinal cord, a delicate ribbon of nerves protected by a tower of bone. This new alliance allowed for quick, coordinated movement far beyond anything the early soft-bodied creatures could achieve. Electrical signals could now travel rapidly from one end of the body to the other. Muscles could respond in harmony. Behaviors could become more complex. Survival could become more dynamic. Imagine, if you will, these early vertebrates, small, sleek swimmers with elongated bodies darting through the water like arrows of living light, their movements smooth, their coordination elegant. The spine was not merely a structure, it was a conductor of life's growing symphony. Take another slow breath in, feeling the length of your own spine as you inhale. Feel how it grounds you, supports you, keeps you aligned. The ancient ocean lives within that feeling. With the rise of the backbone came new possibilities. Creatures could grow larger, they could move faster, they could navigate more turbulent waters. Some evolved jaws, fins, tails, and muscles, designed to work in beautiful synchrony with the spine's support and guidance. Picture evolution as a quiet sculptor, carving slowly, gently, each bone added, each nerve protected, each connection strengthened. The spine became a masterpiece of engineering, a balance of flexibility and stability, strength and grace. Over time, some of these early vertebrates left the water. Imagine them hesitating at the edges of tidal flats, their bodies supported by strong, responsive spines as they pushed themselves onto land. Step by patient step, the spine adapted once again. It carried weight in new ways, supported new postures, allowed creatures to lift their heads toward new horizons. The spine became the bridge between worlds, between water and land, between instinct and awareness, between simple motion and complex behavior. Let your breath slow again and feel a gentle appreciation for the structure that allows your own body to rise, bend, reach, rest. Within you lives the quiet strength of millions of years of adaptation. The spinal cord, protected by this strong yet flexible column, became a central highway for signals. Every touch, every movement, every shift of balance traveled through this ancient channel, reflexes sharpened, responses quickened,
purpose grew more refined, and eventually the spine became part of a magnificent partnership, joining forces with the expanding brain to coordinate not just movement, but thought, emotion, awareness. But that part of our journey waits just ahead, like a distant shore. For now, simply imagine your breath flowing gently along your back, rising and falling like a tide. Sense the delicate balance between steadiness and softness, between strength and surrender. Your spine is both anchor and pathway, both structure and as this chapter comes to a gentle close, take one more slow breath in. Feel the length of your body, the quiet alignment, the ancient resilience within you. Exhale softly. When you are ready, we will continue, moving from the birth of the spine into the deepening mysteries of the nervous system that flows through it, guiding life with increasing elegance and awareness.
11. Nerves that whisper through time. Take a long, slow breath. Let your shoulders soften and your body sink into stillness. In the quiet of this moment, imagine the world as it was hundreds of millions of years ago, in the deep waters where the first vertebrates swam. The sun filters down in gentle golden streaks, illuminating creatures both strange and delicate. Currents ripple slowly across the seabed, carrying the promise of change. This is a place of beginnings, of motion, of structure, of sensation. Tonight, we follow the invisible threads that carry life's earliest messages, the nervous system. The spine gave vertebrates strength, shape, and support, but it was the nerves that allowed movement to become precise, coordinated, and purposeful. They are the quiet whisperers of life, the carriers of information, the conduits that transform sensation into action. The dawn of signaling. Imagine, if you will, a tiny fish gliding through the shallow waters. Every touch, every current, every shift in light is a signal. At first, these signals were simple chemical reactions, molecules bumping into receptors, causing muscle cells to contract. But gradually, evolution honed the speed of these messages. Electrical impulses began to travel along specialized cells called neurons. These neurons formed pathways, small bridges of communication within the body. Take a slow breath and imagine a single neuron firing for the first time in the ancient ocean, a tiny spark moving along a delicate cell, transmitting information almost instantaneously. That spark reaches a cluster of neurons. The body reacts, a tail flicks, a fin bends, a predator is avoided, a morsel of food is captured. The simplest of signals now produces complex, coordinated motion. Feel your own body relax with this thought. Your reflexes, your heartbeat, your breathing, all are echoes of those first electrical whispers that traveled through ancient tissues long before bones, jaws, or limbs existed. The nerve cord, life's central highway, the spinal cord, evolved as the central highway of these electrical signals. Imagine it as a smooth river of light running the length of a body, protected by the spine. Nerves branch from this cord, like tributaries, reaching every muscle, every organ, every sensory organ. Touch, movement, and perception now flow together in harmony. Close your eyes and picture this network in motion. A predator approaches. Vibrations ripple through the water. Signals travel along the spinal cord, coordinating a perfect fluid escape. Motion and awareness entwine. The body becomes an instrument tuned by millions of years of refinement. The spinal cord is more than a pathway. It is a bridge. It connects the brain to the body, the self to the environment, stimulus to response. Each vertebrate that ever swam, walked, or ran relied on this delicate structure to navigate the world. And within you, that same system hums softly, carrying information across every part of your body. Reflexes, life's first conversations. Take a slow, meditative breath and imagine a tiny nerve cluster in an early vertebrae. A sudden vibration in the water triggers a reflex, a contraction, an automatic withdrawal. The signal does not reach the brain first. It flows through the spinal cord, immediate, perfectly timed. Survival itself depends on such instantaneous responses. Reflexes are life's first conversation. They are the body speaking to itself without delay, without thought. They are the whispers of time encoded in tissue, millions of years old. Even now, when your hand touches something hot, your body reacts before your mind fully registers the sensation. You carry the legacy of these first swift communications in every movement. Picture these reflexes as waves of light flowing through a body, flickering softly, connecting muscle to nerve, nerve to cord, cord to brain. Imagine how beautiful and intricate these waves must have been in the earliest vertebrates, their simplicity forming the foundation for complex behavior. The expansion of the brain, the spinal cord alone could coordinate movement, but the body demanded more. As vertebrates grew in size and complexity, the brain expanded. Signals from eyes, ears, and other senses required interpretation. Muscles required coordination. Reflexes required refinement. The spinal cord sent these signals upward, where clusters of neurons in the brain began processing them with increasing sophistication. Take a slow inhale and imagine a primitive fish using its brain to track prey. Light patterns are detected, vibrations interpreted, chemical trails traced. Movement is now guided by perception, as well as instinct. The earliest form of planning emerges. The world is no longer a series of reactions. It becomes a place that can be interpreted, navigated, and even anticipated. As the brain grows, so too does awareness. Not conscious thought yet. That will come much later, but a primitive understanding of surroundings, relationships, and opportunity. Life is beginning to experience its environment in a richer, more intricate way. Sensory networks, touch, sight, and sound. Close your eyes and feel your own senses for a moment. The air on your skin, the warmth in your body, the faint sounds around you. Now imagine the ancestors of these abilities forming in early vertebrates. The lateral line system detects vibrations in water. Eyes capture movement and shapes. Chemoreceptors sense chemicals floating in currents. These sensory inputs feed into the spinal cord and brain, creating an integrated picture of the world. Each input contributes to survival. Each impulse strengthens the network. Life is learning to interpret itself. Take a long breath. Feel the quiet wonder of these ancient innovations. Your own nervous system is a descendant of this remarkable network, spanning hundreds of millions of years. It hums in harmony with the rhythm of evolution, the symphony of coordination. Picture an entire school of early fish gliding through a coral-like reef. Every flick of a fin, every twist of a tail, every turn of a head is coordinated by the nervous system. Each creature responds instantly to subtle changes in currents, shadows, and vibrations. Survival depends on precision. Efficiency shapes the body and behavior alike. The spinal cord, nerves, and brain are the instruments of this symphony. Each neuron is a note, each impulse a melody, and together they create the quiet music of life, subtle, flowing, and perfect in its complexity. Slow your breathing. Let your imagination drift along these currents of neural communication. Let yourself feel the deep connection between your body, your nerves, and the ancient oceanic ancestors that first carried
electrical signals through their fragile form.
Reflection and mindful pause. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, let your awareness rest on the quiet intelligence that flows through your body. Every sensation, every reflex, every coordinated movement is a conversation between your spine, your nerves, and your brain, a conversation that began hundreds of millions of years ago in a world very different from ours. Imagine your own body as a vessel of this history, carrying the legacy of nerves that first allowed life to sense, respond, and survive. Let gratitude settle over you, gentle and warm, as you acknowledge the slow, patient work of evolution that shaped the structures, allowing you to move, feel, and perceive today. As this chapter drifts to a close, let yourself float in the quiet wonder of this realization. Imagine the earliest vertebrates swimming through ancient seas, nerves firing, muscles responding, life learning to move with purpose and grace. Feel the continuity of life flowing through you, a whisper of time and resilience, connecting you to the very first signals that danced through early animal bodies. And when you are ready, we will continue into Chapter 12, exploring how these early vertebrates developed the organs, muscles, and structural sophistication that allowed life to expand into new environments, both in water and eventually on land. 12. Muscles, motion, and the poetry of movement. Take a long, gentle breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, the slow rhythm of your body, and imagine yourself drifting once more in the calm, vast oceans of ancient earth. Light spills through the water in soft, golden beams, illuminating creatures both delicate and purposeful. The currents move around them with quiet grace, and within their bodies, a story unfolds, the story of muscles learning to shape movement, of life discovering the poetry hidden in every contraction and release. Tonight, we explore the architecture of motion itself, the muscles that powered early vertebrates, sculpted by evolution over hundreds of millions of years, and how these soft tissues became the instruments of grace, strength, and endurance. The first contracting fibers. Imagine a tiny fish gliding through the water. Its body is a ribbon of fluid motion, undulating with precision. Beneath its skin, long bundles of fibers contract and relax in waves, propelling it forward. These fibers are the earliest muscles, simple, segmented, and remarkably effective. Each contraction sends ripples through the body, coordinated by the nervous system, translating electrical signals into elegant motion. Take a slow, meditative breath and picture this in your mind. Every pulse of muscle, every ripple along the body is an echo of millions of years of refinement. Even the simplest movements, a flick of a tail, a glide toward food, carry the imprint of evolution's patient sculpting. Muscles, at their core, are bridges between intention and action. They translate sensation into motion, reflex into response, survival into poetry. They are soft, flexible, and incredibly resilient, perfectly adapted to the world in which they arose. Segmented muscles and precision. Early vertebrates' muscles were arranged in segmented blocks called myomere. These blocks wrapped around the body like ribbons stacked along a spine. Each segment could contract independently, creating smooth, coordinated waves of movement. Close your eyes and visualize this pattern. Undulating bands of tissue, contracting and releasing in harmony, propelling the creature through its watery world. The precision of this arrangement allows for both speed and control. A predator approaching, the tail flicks. Prey spotted, the body twists and darts forward. Motion becomes not random, but purposeful, guided by the flow of signals along nerves and the structure of the spine. Your own muscles from the tip of your fingers to the soles of your feet, echo these ancient arrangements. Every coordinated movement you perform is built upon this foundational blueprint of segmented, elegant design. From water to land, muscles adapt. Imagine a shallow lagoon at the edge of the ocean, warm and teeming with life. Some lobe-finned fish begin to push themselves along the mud, their fins bearing weight as they explore new terrain. These fins contain bones and muscles that hint at limbs to come. As these creatures experiment with terrestrial movement, their muscles adapt. Muscle fibers change orientation, become stronger, and develop the endurance needed for supporting weight on land. Coordination improves. Reflexes synchronize with new patterns of balance. The nervous system and muscles enter a deeper conversation, refining motion with each attempt. Take a slow inhale and picture these first forays onto land. Each movement is tentative yet brave, a quiet adventure in motion. Each contraction of a muscle carries the weight of evolution and the promise of the future. The hands, feet, and limbs that will one day carry humans across the earth. The muscles of breath. With the transition to land comes another remarkable evolution, the muscles of respiration. Aquatic vertebrates relied on gills, but in shallow water and on land, lungs began to develop. Muscles now take on a new role, not just moving the body through the environment, but moving air in and out of internal spaces. Imagine the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation, gentle and steady, powered by muscles working in quiet harmony. Your own breath mirrors this ancient evolution. The muscles that lift your rib cage, expand your lungs, and exhale air are descendants of the earliest vertebrate muscles, shaped by life's first experiments with air and water. Breathe slowly now. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Let this connection between ancient muscles and your own body settle softly in your mind. The elegance of energy. Muscles require energy, and energy must be delivered efficiently. In early vertebrates, blood vessels in the cardiovascular system evolved alongside muscles to meet this demand. Nutrients and oxygen flow to contracting fibers, allowing sustained motion. Muscles could now perform longer, stronger, and with greater precision. Take a long breath and imagine the soft flow of blood through an ancient body, carrying fuel to each fiber, enabling every flick, twist, and glide. Every movement is a collaboration between structure, energy, and intention. Evolution refined these systems slowly, carefully, like a master artist shaping clay with infinite patience. Your body still carries this legacy. Every step you take, every gentle stretch, every heartbeat is a continuation of this deep, flowing rhythm of life. Motion as communication. In early vertebrates, muscles were not just for motion, they were a form of communication. Fins flicked to signal mates, tails thrashed to warn of danger, body postures conveyed dominance or submission. Movement became an expressive language long before speech or thought. Picture a school of fish gliding together. Each flick of a tail, each bend of a fin, communicates information across the group. Coordination emerges naturally, guided by perception, reflex, and subtle graceful signaling. Motion itself becomes intelligence in action, slowly, and imagine your own body as part of this long tradition, where motion is a way of interacting with the world, a rhythm of connection that echoes across millions of years. Reflection and mindful pause. Take a deep, calming breath. Let your mind drift along the waves of this ancient story. Muscles, movement, and nerves, all intertwined, all shaped by evolution, created the first graceful interactions between life and its environment. They allowed creatures to swim, to twist, to leap, to explore, to survive. Feel your own body in this quiet moment. Notice the subtle tension in your muscles, the gentle motion in your spine.
the rhythm of your breath. Sense the deep connection you share with the first vertebrates that moved with purpose in the oceans of time. Each motion, no matter how small, is a reflection of this ancient story. Every gesture carries the echoes of Myomora's fins and the rhythmic undulations that carried life forward. As this chapter draws to a close, imagine yourself drifting among those early vertebrates, muscles flexing, bodies rippling through soft golden waters, guided by nerves and purpose, learning the poetry of motion. Breathe deep, feel the ancient rhythm of life flowing through your own body, quiet, strong, and steady.
When you are ready, we will continue into chapter 13, exploring how the first hearts and circulatory systems arose, carrying energy and life to muscles and nerves, enabling more complex motion and the expansion of vertebrate life. 13. The heartbeat of life. Take a deep, gentle breath. Let the inhale linger softly, and then exhale slowly, releasing tension with the rhythm of your body. Imagine yourself floating once more in the calm, amber lit waters of ancient seas. Light filters through the surface in golden streams, dancing across the moving bodies of early vertebrates. Currents carry whispers of movement, sensation, and now we focus on one of the most profound innovations in the story of evolution, the heart in the circulatory system, the quiet, steady pulse that carries energy and life to every part of the body. The heartbeat is ancient. It predates lungs, jaws, limbs, and even the complex nervous systems we have explored. It is the force that transforms muscles from potential into action, turning the slow flicks of fins and contractions of early fibers into powerful, coordinated movement. Tonight, we trace the heartbeat's origin, exploring how evolution crafted a rhythm that would sustain vertebrates for hundreds of millions of years. From simple pulses to a steady beat. In the earliest chordates, movement and fluid transport were intimately connected. Nutrients and oxygen diffused through soft tissues, aided by simple pulsations of fluid in primitive vessels. Imagine a tiny creature, almost translucent, its body gently swelling and contracting as fluid moves in waves through its tissues. Each pulse brings sustenance. Each pulse enables survival. Take a long, meditative breath and picture this quiet movement, subtle yet essential. Life depends not just on motion, but on the continuous delivery of energy to cells. These small rhythmic flows are the precursors of what would become the vertebrate heart. Over millions of years, evolution honed this system. Vessels became specialized. Muscular pumps evolved. Chambers appeared, carefully structured to maximize efficiency. The first hearts were simple tubes, contracting rhythmically, pushing blood through a network of primitive vessels. Yet in their simplicity lay power, a steady, dependable rhythm that sustained life and allowed vertebrates to grow larger, move faster, and survive in new environments. The power of circulation. Imagine a small, early fish swimming in warm, shallow waters. Its muscles require energy. Its nerves demand oxygen. Its cells must be nourished continually. The circulatory system ensures this. Blood flows in a steady, continuous stream, carrying nutrients and oxygen to every part of the body. Waste products are carried away. Muscles receive fuel for motion. The nervous system receives sustenance for signaling. Feel your own heartbeat for a moment. Each thump is a reflection of this ancient system. Every contraction, every pulse is a distant echo of the first rhythmic movements of fluid in early vertebrate. Your body is alive because of this legacy, a network of vessels, muscles, and valves perfected over eons. Take a slow, gentle inhale, imagining blood flowing steadily through the vessels of your own body. Picture the rhythmic pulse, the continuous movement, the life it carries, from single loop to double loop. Early vertebrates had a simple circulatory system, a single loop where blood passed through the heart once before reaching the body. This was sufficient for small creatures in water where oxygen was plentiful and movement limited. But as vertebrates diversified and some moved into more challenging environments, efficiency became essential. Over time, evolution shaped more complex hearts. Chambers divided, creating separation between oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. The double loop system arose in creatures transitioning to land, a remarkable innovation, allowing oxygen-rich blood to reach muscles and organs more efficiently, sustaining endurance and activity. Take a deep breath. Imagine the first hearts beating in time with each contraction, sending energy to newly powerful muscles. Picture the expansion of movement possibilities, longer journeys, faster escapes, sustained hunting, the exploration of new environment. The heart and the brain. The heart and circulatory system are not only partners to muscles, they are companions to the brain. Early vertebrates with more sophisticated brains required more oxygen and nutrients to support sensory processing, learning, and coordination. The heartbeat ensures that the nervous system can operate at full capacity, translating electrical impulses into motion, awareness, and response. Imagine a primitive fish detecting a predator in the murky water. The brain processes the information, the muscles contract, the fins and tail respond. But without the steady delivery of energy from the heart, this coordinated escape would be impossible. Circulation and motion are intertwined in a quiet, elegant partnership that supports survival, sensation, and the evolution of complexity. Take a slow, reflective breath. Feel your own pulse, the steady, rhythmic reminder of life's continuity, echoing the innovations of ancient hearts and vessels. The symphony of flow. Consider the coordinated dance of muscles, nerves, and blood vessels. Each heartbeat sends ripples through the body, synchronizing movement and perception. Early vertebrates experienced this subtly, their motions smooth, efficient, and purposeful. Each pulse allowed them to swim farther, react faster, and explore more fully. Now picture this rhythm as a gentle, flowing symphony. Muscles flex, nerves fire, blood circulates, all in harmony, each system supporting the others. The vertebrate body becomes a masterpiece of integration, a machine and a living poem, powered by the quiet persistence of the heart. Let your own heartbeat anchor you in this moment. Feel it flow, feel it sustain, feel it connect you to countless generations of creatures that relied on this same rhythm to survive and thrive. Reflection and mindful pause. Take a deep, calming breath. Imagine your heart in circulation as the culmination of hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary refinement. Every pulse is a message from the past, a reminder that life is continuous, resilient, and profoundly interconnected. Picture the first vertebrates gliding through warm, shallow waters, hearts beating steadily, muscles contracting with grace, nerves sending signals with precision. Picture the future stretching before them, the emergence of limbs, lungs, terrestrial life, and eventually beings capable of reflection and wonder. Breathe slowly. Let gratitude settle in your chest for the quiet heartbeat that has allowed life to persist, innovate, and flourish. Feel the deep connection between your own body and these ancient systems, a pulse echoing through time. As this chapter draws to a close, imagine the gentle, unwavering rhythm of those first hearts, carrying life and energy to every fiber, every nerve, every muscle. Let this pulse resonate within you, grounding you in the continuity of life.
When you are ready, we will continue into chapter 14, exploring how the first lungs and respiratory adaptations allowed vertebrates to step beyond water and breathe the air, opening doors to new worlds and new possibilities.
14. Breathing life. The first lungs. Take a deep, slow breath. Let the inhale linger, filling your chest and release gently, feeling the rise and fall of your body. Imagine the warm, calm waters of ancient rivers and lagoons, sunlight scattering in golden threads across the surface, illuminating the first vertebrates as they glide, push, and explore. Tonight, we follow one of evolution's most remarkable innovations, the lungs, the soft, flexible organs that allowed life to step beyond the water and begin to breathe air. Lungs are more than organs, they are bridges between worlds. They are the tools that enabled creatures to escape the limitations of the aquatic environment, to explore shallow water, to survive in oxygen poor conditions, and eventually to walk upon land. They are the quiet facilitators of a vast expansion of possibility, a whisper from evolution that life can reach further than we ever imagined. Gills and the limits of water. For hundreds of millions of years, vertebrates relied on gills. These delicate structures extracted oxygen from water with remarkable efficiency. Yet water can be limiting. It holds only a fraction of the oxygen air provides, and in warm, stagnant pools or shallow lagoons, oxygen levels could drop dangerously low. Life needed a new solution. Take a slow, reflective breath and imagine a small fish in a shallow lagoon, the water around it warming and thickening, oxygen scarce. The gills strain, the muscles contract, the body moves frantically. The situation demands innovation. This is the stage upon which lungs first appeared, allowing life to inhale oxygen directly from the air. Early lungs were simple sacs, outpocketings of the digestive tract filled with air, allowing gas exchange that water alone could not provide. They were rudimentary but functional, enough to sustain life in oxygen poor environments, and grant these pioneering vertebrates a new lease on survival. The leap to air. Picture the first lobe-finned fish venturing into shallow water or even moments of dry mudflats. Their gills still function, but their lungs allow them to draw breaths of air, supplementing oxygen intake. Each gulp brings life. Each exhale releases waste gases. These early experiments with breathing air were slow, cautious, but transformative. Take a long, mindful breath and imagine yourself as one of these ancient explorers. Feel the novelty of air filling soft sacs, of oxygen flowing directly into the bloodstream, of muscles powered by a new energy source. Each breath is a gentle adventure, a small but profound leap in evolutionary potential. Lungs and limbs, a partnership. Lungs did not evolve in isolation. They were part of a growing suite of adaptations that enabled vertebrates to explore beyond water. Muscles strengthened. Fins developed bones and joints capable of bearing weight. Lungs supplied the oxygen needed to sustain movement on land. Together, these systems created the foundation for the first tetrapods, creatures capable of stepping out of the water and into a new world. Slowly inhale and visualize this transition. A small, lobe-finned fish rests in a shallow pool. Its fins press against soft mud. Its lungs fill with air. Muscles tense, then release. Step by tentative step, it moves, exploring the boundaries of land and water. Every breath carries life. Every movement carries potential. The rhythm of breathing. Breathing is rhythmic. Inhalation, exhalation, a pulse of air that sustains life. This rhythm is mirrored in the body's other cycles, the heartbeat, the contraction of muscles, the firing of nerve. Evolution weaves these rhythms together, creating harmony between motion, sensation, and survival. Take a slow meditative breath and let the rhythm of your own inhalation and exhalation connect you to these ancient pioneers. Every lungful of air echoes the first breaths taken by vertebrates hundreds of millions of years ago. Every exhale carries the memory of those shallow pools, warm sunlight, and cautious exploration. From air sacs to complex lungs. Over time, lungs became more sophisticated. Surfaces folded to increase oxygen exchange. Blood vessels entwined, creating efficient systems for delivering life-sustaining air to the body. The heart and lungs evolved in concert, creating a partnership that allows muscles to work harder, brains to process faster, and movement to extend longer. Take a moment to feel your own chest rising and falling. Sense the legacy of this ancient design flowing within you. Your ability to breathe deeply, to sustain thought and motion, is a gift handed down from the first lungs, a connection to life's daring leap from water into reflection and mindful pause. Take a long, gentle breath. Imagine the first vertebrates lifting their heads to the air, drawing it into primitive lungs, feeling the life-giving oxygen fill their blood and muscles. Picture the cautious exploration of mudflats and shallow waters, the soft rhythm of gills still working alongside lungs, the gradual mastery of a new environment. Feel gratitude for the lungs that sustain you now, for the rhythm of your breath, for the evolutionary patience that allowed life to conquer the. Let the thought linger. Every inhale is a connection to the ancient past, every exhale a release into the present, and each breath a quiet echo of life's perseverance and innovation. As this chapter closes, allow yourself to float in that gentle vision of early vertebrates, lungs filling with air, muscles preparing for movement, hearts pulsing steadily. Feel the continuity of life flowing through every breath, carrying the promise of exploration and adaptation. When you are ready, we will continue into chapter 15, where we explore the emergence of limbs and the first tentative steps onto land, guided by the careful interplay of muscles, nerves, and lungs. 15. The first steps onto land. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the calm rise in your chest as you imagine yourself drifting at the edge of a warm, shallow lagoon. The water laps gently against soft mud flats. Sunlight shimmers across the surface, illuminating the lobe-finned fish we have been following. Tonight, we witness a monumental moment in the story of life, the first tentative steps onto land. The first limbs were born from fins. The bones inside those fins, long and robust, could bear weight, while muscles strengthened to support motion beyond the gentle buoyancy of water. The lungs evolved to supplement gills, filled with air and enabled oxygen to fuel this new venture. Nerves and muscles communicated in harmony, and the spine provided the support to lift and bend. Take a long, reflective breath and picture this transition. Small fish rests at the edge of a shallow pool. It shifts its fins against the mud, flexing muscles that had been shaped for swimming but now find purpose on solid ground. The creature moves slowly, cautiously, aware of gravity's pull, feeling the texture of the earth beneath it for the very first time. Fins becoming limbs. The bones of lobe-finned fish, the humerus, radius, ulna, and early wrist-like structures became the scaffolding of limbs. Muscles previously used to glide through water adapted to bear weight and propel the body forward. These limbs were not perfect. Each movement was tentative, unsteady, and exploratory, but evolution, patient as always, shaped every shift, every step, into increasing coordination and efficiency. Close your eyes and imagine the small, pioneering vertebrate taking its first cautious crawl across mud. Each movement is deliberate. Each contraction of muscle is a test. The ancient rhythm of nerve, muscle, and bone carries the body forward. Every successful step reinforces the blueprint for future generations. The role of lungs in circulation. As these creatures explored land, lungs became more critical. Water could no longer be relied upon for oxygen. The circulatory system, once tuned for aquatic life, adapted to support muscles on land. Blood flow became more efficient, delivering oxygen and nutrients to limbs that now lifted and pushed against gravity. Every heartbeat and pulse of blood made movement possible, linking lungs, heart, muscles, and brain into an integrated system capable of terrestrial exploration. Take a deep, meditative breath and feel the rhythm of your own heart and lungs. Imagine the first steps onto land as an intricate choreography powered by this same ancient partnership. The balance between risk and reward. Life on land was not easy. Drying pools, exposure to predators, and the unfamiliar force of gravity made each movement risky. Yet the potential rewards were enormous. New habitats, untapped food sources, and opportunities for survival and growth. Early tetrapods learned to balance caution with curiosity. Their movements were slow, deliberate, and highly adaptive. Picture yourself as a witness to this first landward venture. Each careful step is a meditation, a negotiation with gravity, a test of strength and coordination. Each pause is a moment of reflection. Every push forward, a triumph of persistence. Muscles, nerves, and spinal coordination on land. On land, the interplay of muscles, nerves, and the spine became even more critical. Limbs required precise signals from the nervous system. The spine needed to support the body's weight without the buoyancy of water. Muscles had to contract and release in novel patterns. Every step was a complex integration of structures, honed over millions of years of evolution. Take a gentle breath and imagine the first tetrapods moving through tall ferns and shallow mudflats. Each movement is a dance, slow and intentional, yet full of potential. Evolution is shaping coordination, endurance, and balance, building the foundation for terrestrial life that will one day include creatures capable of running, leaping, and exploring vast landscapes. Reflection and mindful pause. Take a long, slow breath and visualize these first steps onto land. Feel the wonder of movement in a new dimension, the chorus of life experimenting with unfamiliar surfaces, and the quiet patience of evolution guiding every adaptation. Your own body is a descendant of these first explorers. Every step you take, every stretch, every bend carries the legacy of limbs that learned to walk across mudflats. Hundreds of millions of years ago, every movement echoes the rhythm of muscle, nerve, spine, lung, and heart, working together in harmony to meet the challenges of a new world. As this chapter ends, let yourself drift in that moment of first exploration. Imagine the soft pulse of heart and lungs, the coordinated effort of muscles, and the balance of spine and limbs. Feel the deep connection to the long, patient story of life, stepping onto land for the very first. When you are ready, we will continue into chapter 16, exploring the diversification of early land vertebrates, the origins of limbs adapted for walking, and the gradual emergence of forms that will ultimately lead to the first amphibian. 16. The dawn of land vertebrates. Take a deep, slow breath and let it settle like a gentle wave washing over your body. Imagine the shallow pools and muddy banks of ancient earth, warm with sunlight and alive with the quiet rhythms of evolution. The first tetrapods, our pioneering vertebrate ancestors, cautiously explore the land, their limbs carrying them step by step into new possibilities. Tonight, we trace the dawn of land vertebrates, the creatures that would forever change the story of life by mastering the solid ground. Life on land demanded innovation. Limbs had to support weight, muscles had to adjust to gravity, and lungs had to provide a reliable flow of oxygen. Nerves coordinated these new movements, while hearts and circulation ensured energy reached every contracting fiber. Each adaptation was small, subtle, and patient, evolution's gentle shaping over millions of years. Take a slow breath and imagine this quiet orchestration of body systems at work. Limbs finding their purpose. The limbs that first emerged from fins were versatile, but imperfect. Early tetrapods experimented with movement, pushing, pulling, shifting, balancing, and sometimes faltering. Each movement created feedback, strengthening neural pathways and refining coordination. Over generations, this trial and error sculpted stronger bones, more precise joints, and muscles capable of supporting the body against gravity. Close your eyes and picture these first pioneers navigating shallow pools, mudflats, and dense vegetation. Each step is deliberate, cautious, and filled with the wonder of novelty. Imagine the sensation of weight pressing against soft, evolving limbs, the subtle stretch of muscles as the body learns to stabilize itself on solid ground. The spine on land, the spine played a vital new role. No longer buoyed by water, the body relied on a strong, flexible spine to maintain posture and distribute weight. Vertebrae shifted slightly, muscles attached to new points, and the backbone became an active participant in movement rather than a passive support. Take a slow, meditative breath. Feel the quiet connection of your own spine, the way it stabilizes and supports your body effortlessly. This is the legacy of millions of years of terrestrial adaptation, beginning with the first creatures balancing against gravity, muscles, nerves, and coordination. Movement on land required exquisite coordination. Muscles contracted in sequences never needed in water. Nerves transmitted signals from brain to limb with precision, while reflexes adapted to new stimuli, uneven terrain, obstacles, and the threat of predators. Early vertebrates were learning to walk, crawl, and even lift their heads to survey the world around them. Visualize this coordination as a symphony, each note played by muscles, nerves, and the spine. The body moves gracefully, adapting, learning, and refining. Every step is a meditation in motion, a quiet celebration of survival and exploration. Lungs and circulation, the terrestrial challenge. The lungs, once supplementary to gills, became essential. On land, oxygen must be extracted from air rather than water. Hearts in circulation worked tirelessly, sending oxygen-rich blood to muscles and nerves engaged in sustained movement. Every inhalation and exhalation fueled exploration, endurance, and the capacity for life to expand beyond water's edge. Take a long, reflective, feel the rhythm of your lungs and heartbeat, and imagine the first tetrapods breathing steadily, powering muscles and exploring their terrestrial world. Each breath is a quiet triumph of adaptation. Exploration and innovation, life on land, demanded more than just walking. Early tetrapods learned to navigate complex landscapes, soft mud, dense vegetation, shallow streams, and rocky outcrops. Their senses adapted to detect air currents, vibrations, and chemical cues in a new medium. Vision, smell, and touch integrated with muscular coordination, nervous signaling, and energy delivery to create the first land-adapted behaviors. Imagine the delicate balance required for these early explorers to survive. Each movement was an experiment, each failure a lesson, each success a small victory in the grand story of life's persistence. Reflection and mindful pause. Take a deep, calming breath and let your awareness settle on this remarkable moment in evolutionary history. Picture the first land vertebrates moving slowly, deliberately, their bodies a seamless integration of spine, limbs, muscles, lungs, heart, and nerves. Feel the courage, patience, and ingenuity that guided each tentative step onto solid ground. Your own body carries the echoes of this transition. Every step you take, every movement you make, every breath you draw is a continuation of that patient exploration in your muscles, your spine, your lungs, and your heartbeat. The story of life on land resonates quietly, a whisper from the past. As this chapter draws to a close, allow yourself to drift in this vision. Soft mud beneath cautious limbs, sunlight glinting across shallow waters, hearts beating steadily, lungs filling with air, and muscles flexing in harmonious rhythm. Feel the connection across millions of years, linking your own body to the first vertebrates that discovered the land. When you are ready, we will continue into chapter 17, exploring the emergence of amphibians, the refinement of terrestrial locomotion, and the complex interplay of senses and movement that allowed life to flourish on land. 17. The rise of amphibians. Take a slow, gentle breath and let it fill your lungs completely. Imagine the soft, golden light filtering over a quiet wetland, the mud squishing softly under cautious limbs, and the gentle ripple of water around the feet of the first land vertebrates. Tonight, we explore the rise of amphibians, the remarkable creatures that mastered both water and land, bridging worlds and transforming the story of life forever. Amphibians represent a profound achievement of evolution. Their bodies embody the lessons of millions of years spent in water and on land. Limbs capable of walking, lungs designed for breathing air, skin that can absorb moisture, and hearts and circulatory systems adapted for dual environments. Every feature is a testament to the patient, careful shaping of life. Mastering two worlds. Early amphibians lived at the edges of rivers, ponds, and wetlands, where land and water met. Their aquatic ancestors had taught them the grace of swimming. Their emerging limbs taught them the precision of walking. They became versatile, able to navigate both worlds. Take a deep reflective breath and picture an early amphibian exploring shallow water. Its tail propels it gently, fins turned limbs guided along the mud, and lungs fill with air at the surface. Every movement is a combination of muscle, nerve, and spinal coordination, shaped by both aquatic and terrestrial pressures. These creatures were explorers, pioneers moving fluidly between two realms, their bodies optimized for flexibility and adaptation. Limbs and locomotion. The limbs of early amphibians were more refined than those of their tetrapod ancestors. Joints allowed bending and extension, muscles could support sustained walking or climbing, and digits provided stability. Movement was still cautious and deliberate, but coordination had improved dramatically. Imagine these creatures stepping through shallow streams and marshy banks. Each limb presses into soft mud, flexes to maintain balance, and pushes the body forward. The spine, muscles, and nerves work in perfect synchrony to produce movement that is both effective and graceful. Every step is a lesson in balance, endurance, and adaptation, breathing and circulation. Amphibians retained their ancestral lungs, but also developed skin that could absorb oxygen and release carbon dioxide, supplementing respiration when submerged in water. Their circulatory systems became more efficient, ensuring oxygen rich blood reached muscles and nerves, whether the animal was in air or underwater. Take a slow meditative breath and feel your own chest rise and fall. Reflect on how the first amphibians relied on similar rhythms of inhalation and circulation to power their movement, coordination, and survival. Every heartbeat, every pulse was part of an intricate network that sustained life and allowed for exploration of two world senses and awareness. Life on land required heightened awareness. Vision adapted to detect predators and prey in air rather than water. Hearing developed to perceive subtle vibrations in the environment. Smell became more acute, capable of detecting chemical cues on land. Nerves carried this sensory information, integrating it with motor control to create purposeful, adaptive movement. Close your eyes and imagine the early amphibian sensing the world around it. Its eyes flicker with movement, ears detect distant sounds, and skin feels moisture and vibration. Muscles respond instantly to these inputs. The body becomes an instrument of perception and action, finely tuned to the dual demands of land and water. Reproduction and life cycles. Amphibians also introduced a unique life cycle that connected water and land. Eggs were laid in water, larvae hatched as aquatic forms with gills, and over time they metamorphosed into lung-breathing adults capable of exploring land. This cycle reflects evolution's patient experimentation, allowing species to exploit both environments while maintaining continuity of life. Take a gentle breath and visualize tiny larvae drifting in calm pools, growing, developing limbs, and eventually emerging onto land as fully formed amphibians. The rhythm of transformation mirrors the rhythm of life itself, slow, deliberate, and perfectly attuned to the environment. Reflection and mindful pause. Take a deep, calming breath and imagine the early wetlands alive with amphibians, bodies gliding through water, limbs stepping onto mud, lungs filling with air, hearts pulsing steadily, nerves coordinating precise movement. Feel the quiet elegance of these creatures, the seamless integration of aquatic and terrestrial life, and the lessons they carry forward in the story of evolution. Your own body carries echoes of this dual master. Every step, every breath, every subtle movement is a reflection of millions of years of adaptation, a rhythm honed by creatures that first dared to live in two worlds. As this chapter draws to a close, let yourself drift in that vision: soft mud under cautious limbs, gentle pools of water reflecting sunlight, hearts beating, lungs expanding, muscles contracting, and life moving with quiet grace and purpose. When you are ready, we will continue into chapter 18, exploring how early amphibians diversified, the origins of skeletal refinement, and the beginnings of more complex behaviors that would set the stage for reptiles and beyond. 18. Diversification and the strengthening of life. Take a slow, deep breath. Let it fill your lungs completely, and as you exhale, allow your body to sink into quiet stillness. Imagine the ancient wetlands, rivers, and forests of Earth, alive with early amphibians exploring their world. The sunlight filters through ferns and moss, dappling the water's surface, and the air is warm, rich, and filled with the quiet pulse of life. Tonight, we explore the diversification of early amphibians, the strengthening of bodies, refinement of skeletons, and emergence of behaviors that would lay the foundation for all terrestrial vertebrates to come. Life on land was full of new opportunities and new challenges. Gravity demanded stronger support, muscles required endurance, and bones had to bear weight without the buoyancy of water. Evolution responded slowly, patiently, crafting forms that could thrive in this novel environment. Skeletal refinement. Early amphibians had already taken the first steps onto land, but their skeletons were still primitive in comparison to what was possible. Over millions of years, vertebrae strengthened, limb bones elongated, and joints became more precise. These changes allowed for improved mobility, more efficient weight bearing, and longer survival on uneven terrain. Picture an amphibian stepping carefully across a soft, muddy bank. Its spine supports the body's weight. Vertebrae flex and stabilize, and limb bones transfer force into controlled movement. Muscles contract and release in perfect coordination with nerves, allowing balance and agility. Evolution is sculpting a frame that is stronger, more versatile, and better suited to life beyond water. Take a slow, meditative breath and imagine each bone as a note in a symphony, each joint as a point of articulation in an intricate, elegant design. Every movement reflects millions of years of refinement, adaptation, and quiet innovation. It's expansion of habitats. With stronger skeletons and more capable limbs, amphibians were able to explore a wider range of habitats. Swamps, marshes, floodplains, and shallow rivers became their playground. Each new environment presented unique challenges: predators, competition for food, variable water levels, and drove further adaptation. Imagine a small amphibian navigating a dense fern forest, climbing over roots and rocks, pausing to sense the environment. Its eyes scan for movement. Ears detect vibrations, and skin senses moisture. Muscles adjust tension, limbs extend and flex, spine stabilizes. Every interaction is a delicate balance between awareness, movement, and survival. Behavioral complexity. As bodies strengthened, behavior became more complex. Early amphibians began to develop social interactions, territorial behaviors, and hunting strategy. Coordinated movement and sensory awareness allowed them to react to threats, chase prey, and communicate subtle signals to one another. Take a deep, reflective breath. Picture the wetlands alive with subtle interactions. One amphibian flicking its tail as a warning, another slowly approaching a potential mate. Juveniles exploring, while adults guard them. Every action is powered by the nervous system, muscles, and energy delivered by the heart and lungs, working in seamless harmony. Simony. From water to land and back again. Amphibians retained strong connections to water. Eggs were still laid in aquatic environments, and larvae remained dependent on gills. This dual lifestyle created a continuous dialogue between aquatic and terrestrial adaptation. Limbs refined for walking still allowed swimming, lungs complemented gills, and skin respiration provided an additional layer of flexibility. Take a slow breath and visualize this duality. The same body glides through water, then lifts onto land. Movement, circulation, nerves, and senses all adjust seamlessly to environmental demands. Evolution had created creatures capable of bridging two worlds, a remarkable feat of integration and balance. Reflection and mindful pause. Take a deep, calming breath and imagine the wetlands of early Earth teeming with diverse amphibians. Some explore water, some traverse land, some interact socially, all moving with quiet grace and coordination. Every muscle contraction, nerve impulse, and heartbeat
contributes to survival and exploration. Feel your own body in this moment, the strength of your skeleton, the coordination of your muscles, the rhythm of your lungs and heart. All are echoes of this diversification. Evolution shaped the balance between structure, movement, and behavior that allows life to thrive across countless environments. As this chapter closes, drift in this vision, wetlands alive with movement, sunlight filtering through leaves, amphibians navigating mud and water, hearts pulsing, lungs expanding, and muscles working in elegant harmony. The stage is now set for the next major step in life's story, the emergence of reptiles fully adapted to land, ready to explore even further.
19. The rise of reptiles. Take a long, gentle breath and feel the calm settle through your body. Imagine the warm, sun dappled forests and dry riverbanks of the late Paleozoic, where wetlands give way to solid land. The first amphibians have mastered dual worlds, but a new chapter in evolution is beginning. The rise of reptiles. Tonight, we explore the innovations that allowed vertebrates to leave the water behind completely, embracing life fully on land. Reptiles are a remarkable step forward. Their bodies, lungs, and hearts, built upon amphibian foundations, now take on adaptations that allow independence from water. Their skin becomes tougher and more protective, limbs stronger, and senses finely attuned to terrestrial life. Evolution, as always, works patiently, shaping creatures capable of thriving in new and challenging environments. The protection of skin, amphibian skin, delicate and permeable, is highly effective for respiration in moist environments. But on land, exposure to sun, wind, and dry terrain creates a challenge. Reptiles develop scales, a protective layer of keratin that guards against water loss while still allowing flexibility and movement. Take a slow, meditative breath and imagine the first reptile stepping cautiously onto dry soil. Its scaled skin glints faintly in the sunlight, preserving precious moisture, allowing the animal to explore farther from water sources. Each movement is deliberate, supported by stronger limbs, flexible spine, and well-coordinated muscles. Evolution has armored the body without sacrificing grace. Stronger skeletons and limbs, with skin adapted for terrestrial life, the skeleton also strengthens. Vertebrae become more robust, limb bones more supportive, and joints more precise. Muscles grow in complexity, allowing greater range of motion and endurance. The spine and tail act as balance and propulsion tools, enabling these early reptiles to walk, climb, and even leap. Close your eyes and picture a small reptile navigating a sunlit forest floor. Limbs extend and contract, muscles flex and release, and the spine stabilizes every motion. Nerves carry signals with precision, coordinating each movement as the animal explores new terrain. Every step is a quiet testament to the patient work of evolution. The heart and circulation. Reptiles inherited hearts and circulation from amphibians, but refined them further. The separation of oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood becomes more efficient, supporting higher activity levels and extended exploration. Lungs, no longer supplemented by skin respiration in dry environments, become the primary organ for oxygen intake, delivering life-sustaining energy to muscles, nerves, and the brain. Take a deep reflective breath and imagine the pulse of the first reptiles. Each heartbeat fuels their movement across new landscapes, enabling hunting, exploration, and survival. Their bodies are fully integrated systems, harmonizing respiration, circulation, sensation, and motion, reproduction freed from water. One of the most revolutionary adaptations of reptiles is the amniotic egg. Unlike amphibians, whose eggs must be laid in water, reptiles develop eggs that can survive on land. A protective shell and membranes ensure the developing embryo receives oxygen, retains moisture, and is safe from environmental hazards. Take a slow breath and visualize a clutch of reptile eggs nestled safely on dry soil, developing quietly, independent from water. Evolution has solved a profound challenge. Life is no longer bound to aquatic environments. The stage is set for the full conquest of land, senses, and terrestrial awareness. Living exclusively on land also drives sensory adaptation. Vision improves to detect prey, predators, and mates in open environments. Hearing evolves to perceive airborne sounds. The sense of smell develops further to detect food and environmental cues. Nerves carry these signals to the brain, coordinating perception with movement, reflexes, and decision making. Close your eyes and imagine a reptile pausing in a forest, eyes scanning, nostrils twitching, ears attuned to faint rustles in leaves, muscles tense and flex, ready for flight or pursuit. Each action is seamless, a dialogue between perception, nerve, and motion, reflection, and mindful pause. Take a deep, calming breath and picture the first reptiles exploring dry land. Sunlight warms their scaled bodies, limbs stretch and flex, hearts pulse steadily, lungs fill with air, muscles contract in precise harmony with nerves and spine. They are creatures of complete terrestrial adaptation, embodying the culmination of hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary refinement. Feel your own body in this moment. Every step you take, every breath you draw, every movement you make carries echoes of these first reptiles. Their innovations, stronger limbs, protective skin, efficient lungs, and independent reproduction are reflected in the very structure and function of your own body. As this chapter closes, drift in this vision, reptiles moving across sunlit landscapes, exploring freely, sensing the world with precision, and thriving on land. Their rise is a story of adaptation, persistence, and evolutionary artistry, setting the stage for the incredible diversity of terrestrial life to come. When you are ready, we will continue into chapter 20, concluding the journey by exploring how these evolutionary innovations converge in the modern vertebrate body, connecting ancient adaptations to the movement, senses, and systems we carry today.
20. The body is an evolutionary masterpiece. Take a long, slow breath and let it fill your chest completely. As you exhale, allow yourself to sink into stillness. Imagine the quiet forests, rivers, wetlands, and sunlit landscapes that have hosted life for hundreds of millions of years. From the earliest muscles rippling through water, to the first hearts pumping blood, from the first lungs drawing air, to the limbs that carried creatures onto land. Tonight, we conclude our journey exploring how evolution has built the body you inhabit today, a living masterpiece of adaptation and resilience. Every part of your body tells a story. The skeleton, muscles, nerves, lungs, and heart, all shaped by countless generations of trial, refinement, and subtle innovation. Every movement, every breath, every sensation is a continuation of this incredible evolutionary journey. Take a slow, meditative breath and visualize the intricate connections that make your body both strong and delicate, precise and adaptive integration of systems. The human body, like all vertebrates, is a symphony of integrated systems. Muscles contract and relax in harmony with bones and joints, allowing fluid, coordinated motion. Nerves carry information from the environment to the brain and back to the body, enabling response and awareness. The heart circulates oxygen rich blood to fuel every cell, while the lungs ensure that oxygen is always available. Each system has evolved in tandem with the others, creating a seamless network of function and adaptability. Imagine the first vertebrates gliding through ancient waters. Their muscles ripple, nerves fire, hearts pulse, lungs inflate. Over time, limbs develop, spines flex, skin adapts, and senses refine. Now, in your body, these ancient innovations converge. Every step you take, every movement you make, carries echoes of these ancient forms, transformed and perfected by evolution. Movement as a legacy. Movement is the thread that ties together every chapter of life's history, from the first myomores contracting in water, to the limbs of amphibians exploring mudflats, to reptiles walking freely across dry land. Motion has been a driving force of survival and adaptation. Your own movements are a meditation on this legacy. Every gesture, stretch, and step is the result of hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary refinement. Take a long, reflective breath. Feel your muscles contracting and relaxing. Sense your spine supporting and guiding. Notice the coordination of your limbs, the rhythm of your breath, and the steady pulse of your heart. These are the gifts of evolution, quietly present in every moment. Senses and awareness. Your senses, vision, hearing, touch, smell, and balance, are also the product of this evolutionary story. Eyes evolved to detect light, movement, and color, ears to perceive subtle vibrations, skin to sense texture and temperature, and nerves to integrate all these signals. Together, they create awareness, allowing you to interact with the world, respond to challenges, and appreciate beauty. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine how these senses connect you to life's history. Every sight, sound, and sensation is part of a continuum stretching back to the earliest vertebrates, exploring water and land. Evolution has woven these abilities into your very being, enabling perception, action, and reflection. Breath and circulation. Your lungs and heart are remarkable reminders of life's persistence and adaptability. The heart, first a simple pulsating tube, now efficiently drives blood through a complex network of vessels. The lungs, evolved from sacs that supplemented gills, now supply oxygen to sustain thought, movement, and life itself. Each inhale, each heartbeat, is a meditation on survival and the intricate design shaped by eons. Take a slow, mindful breath and feel the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Let it connect you to the countless generations of life that came before, each one shaping the next, carrying energy, information, and potential forward. Reflection and gratitude. Take a deep, calming breath and imagine the entirety of evolution flowing through your body. Muscles, nerves, lungs, heart, bones, and senses, all interconnected, all finely tuned, all the result of patient refinement over hundreds of millions of years. Feel gratitude for the quiet genius of evolution, the persistence of life, and the intricate harmony that allows you to move, breathe, and perceive the world. Picture yourself walking slowly through a sunlit forest. Each step is deliberate and mindful, each inhale deep and grounding. Muscles, bones, nerves, and lungs work seamlessly together. Your heartbeat echoes the first pulses of life in the oceans. Your breath mirrors the first lungs drawing air. Your senses connect you to the world, just as they once connected ancient amphibians and reptiles to theirs. Closing thoughts. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Sleepy Scientist Zone. As we conclude this journey through time, take a moment to appreciate the body you inhabit. It is not merely a vessel, it is an evolutionary masterpiece, the culmination of millions of years of innovation, adaptation, and resilience. Your very existence is a testament to the incredible story of life on Earth. Let your awareness drift through your body, feeling the integration of all systems, the elegance of motion, the rhythm of heart and lungs, and the acuity of sense. Know that you are part of a story far larger than yourself, a story that continues to unfold with each breath, each movement, and each moment of mindful awareness. Take a final deep grounding breath. Let it flow through you, connecting past, present, and future. Allow your body to rest, your mind to settle, and your awareness to expand, carrying the quiet wonder of evolution into every aspect of your being. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. Sleep well, dream deeply, and remember your body is the legacy of life itself. The video script ends here, leaving the audience with a calm, reflective, and immersive understanding of how evolution built the body.